The main character of the story that I will tell you about was a young man named Yu Kanfeng. He was a time traveler. Reborn in a new and unfamiliar world for him, he was a street tramp, until the head of a sect called Mountain of Nine Swords accepted him as a disciple when our hero was still a child. But even at such a young age, he already had an expressive appearance. Bright blue eyes on a snow-white face that was framed by dark black hair. Even though Nine Sword Mountain was a small sect, it stood guard over several nearby villages, so no one in the sect worried about clothing or food. Just at the moment when Yu thought that he could live his whole life on benches and eat anything in anticipation of death, a misfortune happened. "This, Master, you cannot die! What should I do if you die?" Our hero lamented, shedding tears and barely having time to wipe away his snot with the edge of his sleeve. In front of him sat the leader of the Nine Sword Mountain sect, Jian Tiexin, in the lotus position. His body was translucent, as if it was not the physical body of the old man sitting in front of Kangfeng, but his spirit. "I didn't think that when I went into the distance, I would meet an old enemy who would take my life." With a bitter sigh, the leader explained the reason for his departure from this world. And he said that since there is only one student in the sect, it is he who is destined to be the next leader, on whose shoulders the development of the sect will entirely fall. The news about the transferred power made the young man incredibly happy, since being the head of a sect is not bad, and it sounds worthy. Basically, he will be able to do whatever he wants in the nearby villages of the sect. Yuya was brought out of his dreamy state by Tessen's sudden pale face, and his eyes rolling back into his head. The leader was incredibly dear to our hero, and his death meant that the young man would remain at a crossroads. "You can't die like that! What should I do if you die?" Bursting with a new batch of tears, Zhang Feng began to beat his forehead in front of the old man. But most of all, he was offended that Tiexin did not tell him where the treasures of the sect were. What kind of leader is this who doesn't know about this? Suddenly, someone's hand grabbed the young man's wrist. "Ha! Master, are you not dead yet?" the shocked young man exclaimed joyfully. I just experienced hemorrhagic shock. This is a pathological condition resulting from massive blood loss. I have to tell you the most important thing with my last breath." Jian began to tell the story with difficulty pronouncing the words. "Before all this, another sect called Mad Tiger challenged the head of Nine Sword Mountain, and the deadline will come in 3 days. Everything depends on you, but you cannot disgrace the prestige of the Nine Sword Mountain sect," the master simultaneously instructed and prayed, clutching the young man like a drowning man. Our hero did not expect that problems would find him so quickly after he took the place of the head of the sect. And who would like something like that? My boy, I rely only on you, my dear student." Having said his last words, Tessen began to dissolve in the air, looking hopefully into the eyes of his student. Unlike the master, Yu was not in such a calm state. "Hey, old man, they won't kill me as soon as I become the head of the sect, right?" he shouted desperately. The very thought that the master was only relying on him angered him to the point of madness. He wandered around the room for some time, cursing. However, he soon calmed down and decided to think about the situation. He had only one option. The Mountain of Nine Swords already had a bad reputation. How can the only heir to the teachings cope with the crowded hall of the Mad Tiger? "It's better if I leave quietly," thought Kangfeng, hastily collecting his modest belongings and not forgetting to stuff a freshly baked rice bun into his mouth, after which he headed towards the exit from the main building of the estate. "The owner's escape has been discovered. The cashback system for recruiting students is activated," said a voice that came out of nowhere, and a three-dimensional 3D screen opened in the air right in front of the young man, displaying the download. Out of surprise, our hero even spat out the bun. After loading, the screen began to show Yu Changfeng's personal data, which displayed the number of students who were not currently there. magical items, which only had one sort of low-quality weapons. The assistant in the system was artificial intelligence in the form of a pretty blonde in a pink kimono. Her ears and tail made her resemble a human with fox-like features. Something like Shippo. If you give something to a student, it will come back to you in double volume. The reward can increase at least twice, or at most 10,000 times. However, you can only give the same items to a student once a month. The assistant began to explain the nuances and rules. Is it really that simple? But I told you, I knew that every time traveler has a kind of cheating system, Yu exclaimed. As a newbie, he was given an automatic gift. This was an increase in impact force of 10,000 times, a one-time use. After such a turn of events, our hero could not just quietly escape. After all, he can become stronger simply by accepting students, and the voice of the system is trustworthy. Full of determination, the young man went in search of students. He didn't go far, but only looked into the yard. The object of his attention was the only remaining disciple in the Nine-Sword Mountain sect. Her appearance could be described in 4 words. Curvy brunette, with big eyes. Armed with a broom, the girl swept the tiles and wondered why the head of the sect planted all these flowers and plants surrounding her. After all, it would have been much better if he had planted sweet potatoes. She was given the name Zhang Yueyao at birth and lost her parents at the age of 10. Master Jian Tiexin brought her from a village at the foot of the mountain and made her a novice who is responsible for the daily living needs of our hero and master. Despite her greed for food, she is the only one in the Nine-Sword sect besides Yuya. Our hero came out of his hiding place, that is, from behind the doors, and coughed in order to attract attention to himself. Noticing the elder, Yueyao instantly bowed before him, showing her respect. Sister, do you want me to become your teacher?" Kang Feng asked directly. "What? Will you take me as your student?" The novice couldn't believe her ears, and the first thought that came to the girl's head was that the young sect leader never raised any thoughts towards her. Is this really forbidden love between teacher and student? However, becoming a disciple of the immortal sect sounds prestigious and would be the best choice. She should definitely take advantage of this opportunity. As soon as the girl wanted to agree out loud to such a tempting proposal, the gates to the sect swung open noisily. "Jian Tiexin, come out here and accept your death," the uninvited guests shouted. They turned out to be the gray-haired but still young elder of the Mad Tiger Hall, Wang Hu, surrounded by 2 disciples. Out of fright, Yueyao unclenched his hands and the broom fell on a freshly collected pile of garbage. Our hero cursed the day and moment when his master left this world, forcing him to solve his problems. "What the hell? Couldn't they wait until I accepted the student?" Yu thought, looking at the physically well-built men.
"Where is this old idiot Jian Tiexin? Well, they brought this old man here quickly," the elder shouted, scanning the courtyard and windows of buildings with his eyes, like a predator looking for his prey.
Kangfen urgently needed to come up with something in order to get out of this situation unharmed. Only one solution came to his mind. "Yueyao, quickly bow to me as your teacher, then you can eat a triple portion of sweet potatoes every day." Turning to the novice, our hero ordered. Similar conditions for 3 meals a day satisfied Zhang's needs. "I ask the teacher to accept 3 bows from his student," the girl asked, falling to her knees and bowing her head, while Yu stood over her, pleased that the trap for lovers of delicious food had worked. "Okay, get up quickly, my student." Without wasting time, the young man extended his hands to the girl, helping her to stand. "As your teacher, I give you this sword so that you can defend yourself in the future," Kang Feng said, and handed over his low-rank weapon to the girl. "You give up your sword because you understand that even with it, you can easily die." The uninvited guests laughed as they watched what was happening. While they, clutching their sides, laughed until they cried, our hero decided not to waste time, gloatingly imagining their defeat. Since his student received from him a weapon of average quality, the 10,000th crit worked, and the young man received a high-quality spiritual weapon, the Sword of 7 Stars. Grabbing the hilt of the sword, he pulled it out of its sheath and could not stop admiring the well-sharpened blade. Now, with such a weapon, he definitely has a chance. You, members of the Mad Tiger, take a step forward towards death. Holding out a sword in front of him, the newly made leader of the Mountain of 9 Swords challenged the elder and his students to a duel. The elder, as he believed, did not expect impudence from the young man, so he grabbed his blade and rushed towards him. How reckless! Our hero commented on the enemy's attack. With one leap he was next to Wang Hu, and swinging, cut his sword in half. Did my weapon shatter when it collided with his blade? The elder did not believe what he saw. After which he was thrown to the ground, already dead, by a shock wave. Seeing how easily Tangfeng dealt with their elder, the students fell on their faces in front of our hero. Have mercy! Have mercy! This old idiot Wang Hu came up with all this. We have no business, the students begged. But you decided to scare them. Isn't the date of the meeting for the call in 3 days? What are you forgetting here now? Where is the leader of the Mad Tiger sect? He asked, tickling the neck of one of the students, pale from tension, with his sword blade. You, young hero, calm down. Our leader found out that Elder Jian Tiexin was injured, so he sent Wang Hu to you to check the authenticity of these rumors. The enemy standing on his knees said, stuttering. Ahem, that's it. No wonder this scum dared to dare me and attacked alone. The Mad Tiger Hall itself has issued a challenge, so why don't you fight with dignity? Do you think I will tolerate such an insult to the 9 Swords Mountain? Kang Feng said, angry at the behavior of those around him. The young man wanted to say something to him, but our hero skillfully ran his sword at his neck, as if trying to cut off his head, but did not leave a single scratch. Go back and tell the head of the hall that today at midnight the new leader of the 9 Sword Mountain sect will appear to him. Let him lather his neck and wait for my appearance, Uis ordered, inserting his sword into its sheath with a clang. Get out! He shouted to the guys again when he noticed that they didn't even move from their place. The third time the students did not have to be reminded. With joy that they set off safe and sound from this place that almost took their lives. And our hero kept thinking, how did the Mad Tiger Hall know about Jian Tiexin's serious injuries? Could his death be related to them? It seems that Zhang Feng can only find out by dealing with the head of the Mad Tiger Hall. All this time, Yue Yao watched what was happening from the side. She was amazed that the teacher was so strong. And in general, this is still the same young sect leader she knew. Suddenly, Yu turned 180 degrees and walked towards her. He patted the girl on the shoulder and told her that he would need to visit the Mad Tiger Hall that night. Only Zhang's cultivation is too weak, and he is afraid that something might happen to her if she is left alone to defend the gates of the sect. I am going to convey to you the teachings of our sect, the 100-sword technique. It will help increase your strength, Kang Feng explained. Then he folded 2 fingers of his right hand, index and middle, which began to glow a little. It was the qi energy that pulsed through his fingers. And when the novice was mentally prepared to accept the information, he touched her forehead with his fingers. In an instant, the girl mastered a high-ranking yellow-level technique. But that was not all. The technique may be strong, but without proper skill, you will not be able to show all its true power. I will also impart to you the experience of 100 days of cultivation in order to increase your understanding. And after these words, our hero laid his hands on the girl's head. Yue Yao seemed as if she was in a huge furnace, surrounded by fire. But the flame did not fry her. It was like air that allowed her to breathe. Her cultivation continued to grow continuously, Passing on the experience, our hero was surprised that the novice broke through to the stage of collecting chi so quickly. But Jan Tiexen said that the girl had absolutely no talents in cultivation, and she would not be able to break through to the chi-gathering stage until the end of her life. It seemed that with the blessing of the system, natural data had no meaning. With the system in my hands, won't I be able to gather hundreds and thousands of students and then completely take over the entire world of immortals? Thought Yu. Finally, the necessary knowledge was transferred. Fine. Yueyao, you have broken through the realm, and now you need to adapt to your current cultivation. I gave you all the techniques. Now your vitality should be undermined, and you will need to rest for some time to recover. Our hero instructed the girl. After everything that was done to her, the novice's loyalty, admiration, and relationship with the master reached their highest heights. The student will never disappoint the master in their improvement. The disciple will do her best to develop and glorify the Nine-Sword Mountain sect in order to repay the teacher for the favor she has shown her. Yueyao swore. Our hero became embarrassed from such an amount of gratitude, and in order not to show his true face of feelings, he quickly turned away and walked deeper into the house under the pretext that he needed to prepare for the night battle. But he was incredibly happy with the fact that 2 hours after the old man's death, he already had his first student, which means the training guide had come to an end. Having found a secluded place and sitting down comfortably, Kang Feng logged into the system with the goal that everything would be returned to him in the best possible way. Now the name Novice Zhan Yueyao proudly appeared on the line of students. Since our hero increased his students' cultivation on the very first day, he gets a 300-fold critical strike back and receives 83 years of cultivation. He also obtained a high-class black-level technique, Three Suns Sword Technique. Without wasting a second, the young man immediately began to cultivate and broke through to the core condensation stage. Now he was 100% confident in his trip to the Mad Tiger Hall, and it depended on this battle whether our hero could restore the former glory of the Nine Swords Mountain. Only he didn't want to wait for 12 o'clock at night, and he also wanted to repay with his uninvited visit. And now we will be transported to the main hall of the Mad Tiger sect. On a wide, sturdy chair, instead of a sheet, a Belgian tiger skin was draped over the top. A shaved man kept tapping his foot on the head of a dead animal, a melody known only to him. On both sides of his chair, pleasing the man, were two scantily clad girls, simultaneously caressing and feeding the man. "Leader, that's what the guy said. We're telling you the whole truth." Two surviving students reported on their knees opposite the chair. The leader's name was Zhang Feng. He had the first level of core condensation cultivation. After listening to his students, he thoughtfully chewed a grape. "Wow, this arrogant boy doesn't know the height of the sky and the thickness of the earth," he said. "Will he attack my Mad Tiger sect? Shameless! If his cultivation is not up to the level of his master in his prime, I won't even look at him." Fen almost shouted angrily, but the gentle hands of the girls calmed him down. As soon as he said the last word, someone's steps, unfamiliar to him, began to catch him out loud. A couple more moments, and there was no whole board left from the front door to the house. Having appeared epically, our hero moved deeper into the living room. The leader from the Nine-Sword Mountain sect, Yu Changfeng, arrived at the appointed time. "Where is Zhang Feng? Come and accept death." The determined young man challenged his opponent to a duel, while simultaneously playing with a clot of energy in his left hand. The very fact that the young man is currently at the stage of core condensation has already made those present tremble with fear. But the head of the Mad Tiger sect had desperate security. "Let's protect the head!" the soldiers shouted, and all 15 people rushed at Kang Feng together. Some even managed to grab him by the edge of his clothes or hair. Our hero smiled sarcastically. "Wow, Some ants dare to stop me. Unfortunately for the soldiers, they did not take into account the fact that their enemy already had the energy of the condensed core ready, with the help of which he produced a shockwave, and the guards were poured into different corners of the room. Some of them, having landed, did not get up, and you finished off those who showed signs of life with one blow. And then the last body landed at Zhang Feng's feet. The only thing that currently interested the leader of the Mad Tiger sect was how our heroes were able to get through and end up in this place. Old man Jian Tiexin only has one disciple named Yu Changfeng, but he is just trash waiting to die. You are not him. Tell me who you really are, Fen inquired about the guest's identity. Isn't this assessment too harsh? Was I really that worthless? Our hero had time to think before answering. Naturally, his face did not change. Talk less, Zhang Feng. All you need to know is that I am the one who will take your life, the young man explained in a sense, pulling his sword out of its sheath. The one who will take my life? The leader of the Mad Tiger instantly boiled with anger. With one kick, he threw away a nearby table, thereby killing the last surviving person from his guard. But Kang Feng managed to react and repelled the attack with furniture, thus turning the attacker's blow on himself. Zhang barely had time to dodge when a piece of wooden board noisily got stuck in the chair a couple of centimeters from his head. Looking at the protruding piece of wood, the man thought with horror. Is the leader of the Nine Swords Mountain really faster than him and has a higher cultivation? While Feng was distracted, Kang Feng decided to take advantage of the moment and was now rapidly approaching the man, preparing to deliver a crushing blow. But the leader of the Mad Tiger jumped up from his chair in time, and the blow went through the air. Even if your cultivation is higher than mine, all you can do against me is to use a high-class yellow-level technique. What can you do against my low-rank black-level golden shield technique? I've been practicing it for 20 years. You can't break my shield, Zhang gloated, placing his hands in front of him, crosswise, and using the golden shield technique. Our hero only smiled at him in response, and he summoned the Sword of 7 Stars. What? Isn't this a high-grade spiritual weapon? Feng was slightly frightened, watching the young man standing in front of him move his finger up and down along the blade. Yeah! As expected from a practitioner at the core condensation stage, you are familiar with high-grade spiritual weapons. Then you must understand that with the Sword of the 7 Stars in my hand, I can easily blow off your dog's head. You confronted the enemy with a fact. However, he agreed to save Feng's life if he told who dared to injure his master, Jian Tiexin, and you managed to find out something. Didn't the old man tell you himself? Trying to stall for time as long as possible, Zhang played with the words. Boy, don't think you can intimidate me with your high-class Zanpakuto. The patron behind me is not someone that a condensed core stage practitioner can afford to offend. There was mockery in the man's voice. Now he was sure that he would not lose the boy's fight, because while he was chatting, he managed to pull out a divine energy pill from a secret pocket, and accepting it can increase cultivation by as many as 5 levels, which added to Kang Feng's problems. While our hero was thinking about what to do next, Feng swallowed with relish, and his body, after taking the pill, began to radiate energy. I originally planned to use this pill in the fight with Jian Tiexin. I never thought that I would have to use it at such a time. If you die at the hands of a master at the 6th level of core condensation, you can calm down and die in peace, he shouted. And he directed an energy flow towards you. Fortunately, the techniques returned by the system are transmitted with force. It was as if our hero had been practicing them for a long time. Otherwise, he would have already died with his cultivation of the 3rd level of core condensation. What? You're not dying? How is this possible? Zhao shouted, directing all his strength into an energy strike. You just understand, using the elixir is the same as using an external force. Even if you want to kill me, you lack the skills. Now it's my turn. Deflecting the blow away from himself and dispersing the core, Kang Feng commented on his resistance to life. After which, trying not to enjoy the fear of his opponent, the young man summoned the sword technique of 3 suns in the form of splitting the bottom. But in such a case, the leader of the Mad Tiger had the skill of the Golden Barrier. Resisting, he did not understand where the young man got the black rank sword technique from. But soon, even the Golden Barrier could not withstand the aggressive onslaught from the outside, and dozens of thin arrows and sparks seemed to pierce Jiang Feng's body, causing incredible pain. Having flown into the corner of the room, he fell on his side. A crunch was heard. It was the left arm that could not bear the weight of the giant and broke. So that our hero wouldn't be tormented in the future by doubts about whether he really killed Feng, he approached the leader of the Mad Tiger, who was barely still breathing, and stabbed him in the chest with his sword. It's just a pity that, in the end, he didn't find a single clue that led him to begin unraveling the attack. Sometime later, towards evening, 2 guys entered the living room of the Mad Tiger sect. They wore the same clothes and had different hairstyles. One had a short haircut and was the eldest, and the second gathered his hair in a ponytail at the back of his head and played the role of the younger. The cultivation of the head of the Mad Tiger Hall was at the core condensation stage. There should be no opponents equal to him in this area. So who could have killed him? The younger one wondered. He is dead. Now it will be difficult to carry out Elder Wang's plan, Jiang Feng answered, approaching the corpse. Suddenly, they were heard out loud by hoarse breathing mixed with coughing. Reacting instantly, the guys hurried to the survivor. It was Yu Changfeng, who dressed up in advance in the clothes of one of the dead soldiers and pretended to be a survivor. Tell me what happened here. The guys grabbed our hero by the shirt and began to pull information out of him. The head faced a sudden attack by the enemy. The enemy was very strong. The leader fought him with all his might and still died from his sword. Yu said breathlessly, "No! Do you know the identity of the attacker?" The younger one barked. The survivor shook his head. "Garbage! Then you are useless!" Having weighed the count, the man with the tail threw Kang Feng far away. "Okay, it's time for us to move out. If anyone admits that Black Sword Sect disciples have shown up here, it will be difficult to explain themselves to the sect leader." The elder hurried to hide from the battlefield. The younger one followed him. Our hero looked after them thoughtfully. He didn't think that the death of his master would be connected with one of the super sects, the Black Sword Sect. The Black Sword Sect is one of the hegemons of the eastern region of the Kangshuan continent, along with the famous Tankang sect and the Immortal Feather School. Even the practitioners of the nascent soul stage are like an ant in their eyes, so it is quite difficult to become a target of at least one of these sects. At the moment, the Nine Sword Sect does not have a very strong foundation, and therefore there is no need to stick your neck out too much. Meanwhile, our hero changed clothes. The Mad Tiger sect was a despot, so they must have at least some savings, and now the young man was determined to find them. Looking around, the young man approached the dead leader of the Mad Tiger. I rummaged in his pockets and pulled out a bunch of keys. Considering Jiang Feng's status, these should have been very important keys, most likely from the Treasury. But the only question that you did not yet have an answer to was, where is the entrance to the Treasury? When the young man searched and found nothing, his gaze fell on the stone chair. What's most interesting is that the chair stood close to the wall, and even a huge groove from a sword in a fight could not penetrate right through. This means that the chair was carved from one huge block of stone. The wall behind this tiger skin does not seem particularly strong. So maybe this is the entrance I was looking for, Kang Feng asked himself, drawing his sword in front of him. A couple of swings and the overly thin wall collapsed, leaving behind clouds of dust. And another wall appeared before the young man, only stronger than the first. There was a concrete door in the middle of the wall, and it had only one lock. It took Kang Feng some time to find the right key. Finally, The door opened with a quiet creak, and the young man saw in front of him a staircase leading down. In his heart, he rejoiced that he was not mistaken and had found the right place. Prepared torches and splinters lay at the entrance. Taking one of them, the young man lit it and began to go down the dark stairs. The further he descended, the more clearly someone's sobs could be heard. You couldn't believe that there were people in a place like this.
Finally, he stepped over the last step, and wooden cages lined up in a row opened to his eyes.
In one of them, two girls hugged and consoled each other and cried. They were wearing nothing but light, patched robes. "Don't kill me. I'll do whatever you want." Hearing the approaching steps, one of the girls promised, "Uncle, I beg you, have mercy on us." Another one began to ask after her. Our hero became gloomy. These bastards raped ordinary girls in the Mad Tigran sect, not disdaining all kinds of crimes. It's not surprising that the master wanted to destroy him during his lifetime. He felt sorry for the young ladies. Putting on a mask of mercy and a smile from ear to ear, he broke the lock on the cage door. "Sis, don't be afraid. I'm not a member of the Mad Tiger sect." He told them the good news. I ask everyone not to worry. The head of the Mad Tiger sect, as well as all his subordinates, have been killed. I'll let you all out and you can go home," Chang Feng shouted to the entire dungeon with his hands clasped near his mouth. So that's how it is. Having calmed down, the girls looked at each other. After some time, a dozen young representatives of the fair sex thanked and blessed their savior. Still, heaven condemned these scoundrels. The immortals from the Black Sword sect must have come to save us. We can go home. The victims rejoiced. "You misunderstood. I am not a member of the Black Sword sect," our hero hastened to explain. "Accept my gratitude, benefactor. Let me know the name of our benefactor. My sisters and I, upon our return, will erect a monument to you and will praise your virtuous deeds in order to repay you for the kindness shown to you." One of the girls asked to introduce themselves. "I am Yu Changfeng, leader of the Nine-Sword Mountain sect. In truth, the Mad Tiger Hall was doing all these dirty deeds under the orders of Elder Wang of the Black Sword sect. Although our Nine-Sword Mountain is not as strong as the Black Sword sect, I didn't like the actions of the Mad Tiger sect, so I destroyed it." The Liberator told the latest events, and he also asked that the girls not talk about this origin. Otherwise, one day the flames of the rage of the Black Sword sect could fall on the mountains of Nine Swords, and at that moment, the young man would not even be able to protect himself. "I really didn't expect to meet such a find here. This way, I can not only spread rumors about the Mountain of Nine Swords around the surrounding villages, but also subsequently accept several disciples. Isn't this wonderful?" Kang Feng contradicted himself in his thoughts. After his words, the girls nested. "Every month we paid an annual tribute to the Black Sword sect, but it turns out to be all so beautiful on the outside and rotten on the inside." They were indignant. "Okay, sisters, come home soon. Don't keep your family members waiting for you any longer." Pointing to the stairs leading up, our hero hurried the girls. Passing by him, the fair sex thanked their savior again and again. Finally, the dungeon was empty, but it turned out to be not completely empty. A little girl stood to the side, not going anywhere. Even despite the shaggy clothes she was wearing, she was beautiful. Brown eyes, brown hair, and white skin made everyone stand in awe of this child. "Sister, why don't you go home?" Kang Feng asked the girl. "I don't have a home," the little girl answered quietly and hiding her eyes. Her entire family was killed by the people of the Mad Tiger Hall. Looking at this child and realizing her difficult lot, the young man had to struggle enormously not to shed a tear. While he was thinking about the sorrows of his difficult fate, the girl reached out and grabbed him by the hem of his kimono. "Will you teach me immortal techniques? Since you were able to kill all these bad people, you must be an outstanding immortal," the little girl asked with hope in her voice. Our hero was not at all against it. "I don't mind. Just let me look at your data first," said the young man, and he laid his right hand on her head. It turned out that the baby had good potential, and perhaps in the future she would be able to reach great heights. "Are you sure you want me to become your teacher and teach you the immortal arts?" "You asked for sure." "Exactly. Only by studying the immortal art can I become like you and kill people like you." The girl confirmed her desire. "If this is only the case, I will refuse." Kang Feng denied her request. "Why?" the little girl exclaimed. "You see, we cultivators turn our hearts to heaven and earth, dedicate our lives to the benefit of ordinary people, learn from the past, and teach people of all generations. How can our hearts be so black?" And in confirmation of his words, he put his hand on his heart. I don't understand such a deep truth, but immortals must have reasons to say such words." They were upset, as the girl would say to herself. Such wisdom from the lips of a child melted our hero's heart. "Ha ha ha, okay, I will accept you as a student." Yu agreed. However, he needed to deal with one thing now, and therefore asked her to wait a minute. He had long noticed a place where the treasures of the Mad Tiger sect might lie. Swinging his blade, he dispelled the spell, and several chests opened to his gaze. But it turned out that the Mad Tiger sect is completely poor. With the exception of entry-rank spirit stones and elixirs, only a low-rank spirit sword can be called quite good. Weighing the weapon in his hand, Yu turned to the girl. "Since you are going to bow to me as a teacher, I will give you this sword as a gift," he said, and handed over the student's weapon. The little girl looked at the gift for some time, spellbound, and did not believe that now she had not a high speed, but still a spiritual sword. While she was enthusiastically looking at the gift, our hero logged into the system, and since the conditions for the gift to the student were met, he was entitled to a 10-fold random cashback. I immediately decided to activate it, and received a high-ranking spiritual weapon, the Sword of the Dragon Source. A moment later, the young man felt cold steel in his hands. Now he had a 10-fold hit crit. Returning to the mountain, he can profit even more. Using telekinesis, our hero raised the sword into the air, deciding to use it like a magic carpet. Taking the girl in his arms, he stood on the sword and, balancing on thin steel, soared into the sky, heading towards the sect's home. "So this is what the world is like, cultivator. Will I ever be able to do the same?" The little girl thought enthusiastically, looking at all the earthly splendor from above. Her reaction was not lost on Yuya. He was pleasantly surprised by the fact that, despite her young age, his student was full of determination. An ordinary mortal would have already tensed up at such a height, but this little girl did not show an ounce of cowardice. She is an excellent seedling for cultivating immortality. The flight was not exactly long. As soon as the feet of the teacher and student touched the ground that belonged to the Mountain of Nine Swords, Jiang Yueyao immediately came out to meet them, relishing the scent of sweet potatoes. Walking into the living room, Kang Feng again greeted his new third-generation student. Student Zhang Lan greets the teacher. The girl fell to her knees and swore allegiance. "There's no need for that. Get up quickly." Our hero extended his hand to his student and made an incredible discovery. It turns out that the girl seems a little stubborn. Fortunately, there was a carpet on the floor and Lan's face escaped with only a couple of bruises. But Jiang Yueyao, watching the oath ceremony, indignantly chewed a sweet potato. "And how did the teacher find a new student so quickly? But I'm the first. But this little guy dares to steal attention from number one." The novice rebelled to herself, mentally already hating Lana. Suddenly she felt something was wrong. It was the unchewed sweet potato that stuck in her throat. While she was trying to clear her throat, Kang Feng began to read and scold her. "Eat and eat. All you know is what you eat. Every day, and for some reason, I don't see you doing the assigned work. And you yourself must understand that you are an example for your younger sister, my new student." He scolded the novice, while the doe watched with interest what was happening. "It's my fault, teacher. Yue Yao finally cleared her throat and apologized. But this does not mean that she has stopped being indignant. I met a new love, so it was possible to forget me. I'm much nicer. The teacher is too unfair. She was indignant. No, okay. This is your older sister, Jiang Yue Yao. You introduced the novice to the girl. Hello, older sister. Lan greeted her new family member. Hello, little sister, Yue Yao told her in response, at the same time as if afraid to utter these words. Go and practice the technique of 100 swords, 100 teams. You won't have dinner until you finish your workout. Our hero ordered. Teacher, not this. I'll die of hunger. The novice objected to him. Instead of answering the objection, the leader looked intently at the girl. Under his gaze, Yue Yao had no choice but to go to the training ground, and Zhang Feng looked thoughtfully after the drooping girl. If the system did not limit the transfer of techniques to students once a month, then he would have already skinned her like a lamb. It seems he will have to recruit many more students to lure anything out of the system. However, right now the young man can dig a gold mine thanks to his new scientist, and he immediately began to fulfill his duties for the reward on his part. Since you strive to become an immortal, I will teach you the high-level technique of the 3 sons of the black rank. How much you can absorb depends on your own understanding. Yu explained, pointing his index finger in front of Lan's head. And from the beginning of his hand movements, various images and actions began to appear in the girl's head, performed by Zhang Feng himself. Here he does a somersault, and then, jumping high, skillfully swings his sword. What is this, teacher? The student asked in surprise. Immortal art. If you want to become an immortal cultivator, you must open your spiritual veins and learn the immortal art. Our hero answered the question. He decided not to explain anything to her, since she might not understand. Our hero only decided to help her pierce her spiritual veins, after which she would be able to understand everything much more clearly. Observing the girl's biofield, the result was pleasantly pleasing. His teaching of the basics of 100-day cultivation successfully opened the disciple's spiritual veins. The conditions were met, and the 10,000-fold cashback was activated. Our hero decided to immediately activate it and received 200 days of improvement. For a young man, this is a bad reward, because he will simply die from 200 days of cultivation.
But fate today was favorable to Kang Feng and sent him a kind of miracle. Lan was discovered to have a hidden physique.
Yu stared in surprise at the system screen and could not believe his eyes. Master, do you want to transfer 100 years of cultivation to disciple Jiang Lan in order to awaken the potential of her Taoist body? Asked the voice assistant of the system. A Taoist body that appears once every 1,000 years? Yes, I picked up a real treasure. The leader of the Mountain of 9 Swords rejoiced. Moreover, if after the transfer of improvement the system cashback works and our hero can get a powerful physique, and without expecting what consequences his decision would lead to, he agreed to the transfer. Okay. The Shippo girl answered, and the girl's body gradually began to glow more and more, and now she was as if surrounded in a huge column of light. By the way, all this time Lan was unconscious and did not react in any way to the world around her, but her physical body was functioning. But from the outside the spectacle was even more epic. This pillar went far, far into the sky, and lightning bolts were constantly moving around the pillar. This unusual natural phenomenon did not go unnoticed by the surrounding lands. At the mountain waterfall of the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion, the current representative of the 10th heavenly level of the core condensation stage, Xiao Xinhe, was tempering himself by exposing his body to the icy streams of water. Watching the light pillar, he thought. Could such a vision of heaven and earth mean the birth of a treasure? If yes, then he must take possession of it no matter the cost. In any case, he should have found out what happened there. Such an amount of light forced many to leave their homes. So the eldest from the Qingtan bandit camp climbed onto the roof of his house in order to observe the unusual phenomenon. So, such knowledge of heaven and earth should mean the birth of a treasure. Brothers, follow me. When the light began to lose its shape, the captain shouted to his subordinates. The robbers, following his decree, grabbed their swords and hurried after him. The Black Sword sect also kept an eye on the unusual natural phenomenon. Master, this vision happened in the direction of the Mountain of Nine Swords, the girl asked the eldest. She and the master watched from the balcony of the house. The master was the elders of the Black Sword sect, Wang. His appearance completely corresponded to him. An always frowning and stern man had grey, but not yet thinning hair, and grey eyes. He and the girl whose name was Kang Kanyi were observed from the roof of the sect's house. The heyday of Nine Sword Mountain has long passed. Apparently, that old man still left something good behind, Wang suggested. Suddenly, a sword flew past his face, blade up, and buried itself in the beam of the balcony behind his back. There was a note on the blade. Unfolding the paper and reading the contents, the elder grinned maliciously. The vision of heaven and earth caused other forces to move. Tsang Kanyi, you go too. You must return with this treasure, said the man. What if someone decides to stop us from getting it? The student asked, without fear of an unexpected reaction. If we don't receive something, then no one gets it. The elder answered the question posed by narrowing his eyes. Okay, teacher. Bowing to the man and putting her hand to her heart, she promised to fulfill Sanyi's task. At this time, our hero had just completed the transfer of cultivation. Who knew that your body carries the legacy of the essence of Tao? As a teacher, I revealed your innate essence by sacrificing my years of cultivation. After awakening, you can easily cultivate immortality. Kang Feng, pleased with himself, said, barely able to stay on his knees. Even though this time it took 100 years of cultivation and it had regressed, even the system did not yet know how to reward the youth for such a reward. I will not disappoint the teacher, Lan swore, kneeling down. Since you are so determined, then everything is fine. Yu leaned towards the girl and stroked her head. But immediately the student had to grab her teacher's hand. Are you okay? Lan was worried. It's okay. For me, these years of cultivation are just a drop in the ocean. Just remember that during the cultivation process, you will have to figure out a lot on your own. Keep improving, but I need to rest. Kang Feng reassured her. But the girl couldn't believe that the teacher had put so much effort into her. Finally, our hero managed to hide from prying eyes in his personal bedroom. As soon as the door closed behind him, he immediately ordered the voice assistant to let the system contact him. The Shippo girl confirmed that the conditions were met, and he was credited with a 10,000-fold cashback. Yu, as always, decided not to wait for a better time to activate the now, and he received a purified body, which makes it possible to change fate against the will of heaven. After receiving this achievement, the young man can change his physical characteristics, activating them in the student. Realizing what was going on, the young man even got scared. Has it ever been heard of, changing your life against the will of heaven? But it was already impossible to reverse the process. Now he had the 9th heavenly level of foundation action, had 2 disciples, and possessed a change in fate against the will of heaven. The purified body was the purest body in the world. No more problems in learning cultivation, and he could communicate with the spirit of heaven and earth at will. But even though his cultivation deteriorated, our hero definitely remained in the black. I feel that the current 9th celestial level of the foundation construction stage is twice as strong as the 3rd core construction stage level. The young man came to the conclusion while observing his well-being. Now he has no problems with cultivation and can communicate with the spirit of earth and sky. As they say, I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. by activating the system of changing fate against the will of heaven, starting from the creation of the core. You can break through the levels of the heavenly Tao in order to obtain more powerful power. Each level of the heavenly Tao consists of 10 stages. The stages of cultivation are divided into Xie condensation, building the foundation, creating the core stage, generating the soul stage, cutting off the soul stage, gaining immortality stage, and ascending to the ancient realm stage. Only the master and his disciples can make a breakthrough on the heavenly path. After reading the information issued by the system, our hero decided to break through the stage of creating the core. He had heard that the energy of the 5 elements was concentrated in Lei Jie, and now felt it necessary that he should take the time to go to this place. In life, white and black stripes often alternate. In the life of our hero, they replaced each other very often. Scum of the Mountain of 9 Swords, get out. Even our hero heard the uninvited guest in his distant bedroom. Yu found himself as if among 2 fires. Someone has come. Bad luck. The system will continue to pester me. I want an upgrade. The young man tried to make a choice. The system again rushed to his rescue with an offer to activate cashback. Yu immediately agreed. Now fortune was so important to him that he folded his palms to his chest and mentally asked the universe for good luck. And fate did not let him down. He received the skill of determination of the 3 suns' sword movement. The trick was that the weapon could be moved at will. This was the 2nd stage of understanding the intention of the sword. Only a nascent soul stage master has such power. Now Kang Feng was in full combat readiness and wanted to look at the idiot who dared to bother him on the 9-Sword Mountain. Only it was not an idiot, but idiots. There were 5 of them. They stood at the entrance of the gate to the sect. Their road was blocked by Yueyao and Lan, who was holding the sword given by the teacher at the ready just in case. Len Hongshan acted as the face of the uninvited guests. He looked young and bold, and his green eyes and his ensemble of light black hair added charisma and cunning to him. Why are there only 2 children here? Call your master. He didn't shout, but spoke too loudly. Calm your arrogance. My teacher is very strong. Yueyao resisted, trying to calm the trembling in her body. The younger student grabbed the hilt of the sword tighter. Ha! Ha ha ha! Jian Tiexin is dead. What kind of leader can 9-Sword Mountain have? Let him come out and see true power, Len mocked.
But his smile instantly disappeared from his face when the little girl standing in front of him, although not skillfully, but confidently raised her sword in order to be ready to defend herself if something happened, or even if she needed to attack.
A high-level spirit sword at such a low stage? Apparently, a trip to this mountain is the right choice. Hongshan thought, watching the baby's behavior. Finally, the ears of those gathered at the entrance to the sect began to catch someone's steps. Teacher! The novice exclaimed joyfully, recognizing the Mountain of 9 Swords sect leader from his gate. On your knees, otherwise you will meet your death. Our hero immediately ordered without saying hello. How dare a boy at the stage of building a foundation show himself in front of the master? One of the men standing behind the soldiers shouted instantly, angry, and rushed at Yuya, drawing his sword. Yueyao's soul instantly sank due to concern for the master, because he had not yet recovered and she did not know what to do. She was not worried out of nowhere. Kangfan's appearance really could have been better, but it wasn't that bad. If you don't draw your sword, then die, a soldier shouted, approaching at a distance of 2 outstretched arms. But our hero believed that such a low person as this soldier was simply unworthy of his sword, and therefore decided to use his internal spiritual powers. Just 1 swing of the index and middle finger of the right hand, and a deep bleeding wound appeared on the attacker's neck. From such a rapid loss of blood, the soldier not only fell to the ground, but died immediately. Hongsheng did not expect that the guy standing opposite him would be so fast, but he immediately pulled himself together. You have good strength. It's just that you don't know how to use it. If you join me, I will spare you all. Len put forward his conditions. But his proposal flew into our hero's one ear and out the other. Get on your knees or die, he said quietly. Hongsheng did not like this answer. With the words, "Don't be arrogant, die!" Taking out his blade, he began to approach Kang Feng. But the leader of Nine Sword Mountain had no time for games. Instantly getting his bearings, he pulled out the sword and began to swing it around himself. In addition, the young man's internal energy emanated from the weapon. Only she was not safe for others. Before Hongsheng had even run a couple of steps, a beam of energy passed right next to the young man's eyes and cut off a tuft of his hair. Feeling only a small particle of power on himself, he immediately fell to his knees and laid down his sword. I didn't even warm up. Are you already giving up? Our hero asked with mockery. The soldiers did not immediately understand what was happening. Master, why do you bow to this brat? What did he do? Everyone follow me, guys, they shouted, encouraging each other. However, the reason for such abrupt behavior was that it seemed to him that the young man standing in front of him was controlling the legendary sword moving at will. Shut up, he joked at his guys. I was blind and did not realize how powerful the master was. I hope you will forget about my mistakes. Len begged for forgiveness on his knees. The mere fact that the master of spirit generation was standing in front of him filled his heart with fear. You know, I like your audacity. Our hero crossed his arms over his chest and laughed in the face of the uninvited guest. Who spread rumors that Yu Chenfeng is trash? I heard that he is only 18, so young, and already at the nascent soul stage. He could easily cut my throat. This outing is a waste of time. Kunshit thought, trying to look as pathetic as possible, and continued to ask for forgiveness out loud. At this time, the members of the Qingtan bandit camp were already very close to the Mountain of Nine Swords. A couple of minutes later, they were already standing at the gates of the sect. The chieftain was also able to sense the approaching terrifying aura of the Black Sword. The man became worried. Did the Black Sword people arrive before them? Next to the boss, I am not afraid even of that master at the nascent soul stage, whom he could not defeat last time. Seeing how their leader is in a state of indecision, one of the robbers spoke. But still, our opponents are powerful cultivators. We should be careful. The other calmed down his hot ardor. Follow me. I don't care who gets in the way. Nothing can stop me. Showing his grin to the whole world, the Ataman called everyone to action and moved forward. The rest followed him. At this time, Xiao Xinhe also hurried to the Mountain of Nine Swords, who also sensed the presence of people from the Black Sword sect. But something told him that perhaps the strong aura was coming not from the Black Sword, but from someone from the Mountain of Nine Swords. However, whoever it was, he believed that this was his prey. Zhang Sanyi flew towards him from the opposite direction. Approaching the desired location, she sensed the aura of the ball moving at will, and was surprised by the possibility that Jian Tiexin was still alive. But she believed that this was impossible since Elder Wang could not make a mistake. Further description of the painting that I will tell you is something Edgar Degas himself would like to capture on canvas. Yu Changfeng stood in the middle of the courtyard, wondering what to do with Len Hongsheng kneeling in front of him. From above, the Black Sword Disciple, the leader of the bandit camp, and the senior disciple of the Heavenly War Pavilion simultaneously landed in the territory of the Nine Sword Mountain sect. Having looked at each other, they realized that each of them had seen a heavenly vision and had come for the treasure. And each of them did not want to share this treasure with others. Wow. Today there are many guests on my Mountain of Nine Swords. Kung Feng greeted the visitors. Well done. Give it up and I'll spare you. Ataman came forward and presented his conditions. Give it away? What exactly? Do they really want a sword? No, even though high-level spiritual weapons are expensive, they are not enough for such a grand battle. Looking at the sword, our hero did not understand the purpose of the appearance of the Trinity. Soon the thought occurred to him that perhaps the opponent saw how impoverished the Nine-Sword Mountain sect was impoverished, and decided to take them into the ground for their own hands. It is likely that after Jian Tiexin's death, they believed that there was no one else in the sect. You turned around and looked at his students. They were both on guard, and during the fight there was no need to worry about them. Not yet fully understanding why the uninvited guests appeared, the young man pulled out his sword in front of him. "Come and try to take it away," he challenged his opponents. Our hero was not afraid of defeat. He had an advantage. Although he is at the 9th level of the foundation construction stage, he has a sword that moves at will and endless skills. The reaction of the three opponents was different. The chieftain of the bandit camp gritted his teeth when he saw Kang Feng's spiritual strength. He didn't expect that there was such a powerful person in the Nine-Sword Mountain sect. But Xiaoxine really liked Yu's personality. The excitement turned on in him, and now getting what he wanted was above all else. Chang Chanyi did not expect that the heir of the previous master had actually mastered the skill of using a sword. She believed it was quite possible that he had inherited his secret from his sect, and now must acquire this skill. "Comrade Taoists, let's join forces, defeat this guy, and find out where the treasure is. We'll decide later who gets it." The Ataman addressed his competitors. "Oh, do you want to join forces?" asked the senior disciple of the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion, and without waiting for an answer, rushed forward. Observing his reaction, Xang realized that Xiao Xing'e was determined and therefore could not allow the man to get the treasure. She pulled out her sword and stood in the way between Kang Feng and the man. "Comrade Taoist, I am a disciple of Elder Wang from the Black Sword sect. I have come to help you." While it dawned on Xiao what had happened, Kang greeted her. Our hero immediately realized that the student of his enemy was standing in front of him. He wanted to kill her so badly now, but this moment was not the best time. However, he could use it first, and then it would work out. Although Len Hongsheng, who was kneeling without turning his head all this time, can also be used. "Do you want to learn the true art of wielding a sword?" he asked Hongsheng. The young man raised his eyes in surprise to the man standing in front of him. All his life he did nothing but flatter and mock the weak. I had already forgotten how he once wanted to learn how to wield a sword. But as soon as he was reminded of his old childhood dream, his heart began to beat nervously. "Sir, I want to learn the art of wielding a sword." Hongsheng began to sob uncontrollably. Our hero smiled. It was so easy to fool him. Stop them, and then I will take people from the highest fortress as disciples of the Nine-Sword Mountain sect. If you prove yourself, I will teach you how to wield a sword," Zhang Feng promised, pointing his finger at the robbers running into the sect under the leadership of the Ataman. "Follow me, let's kill him!" Hongshen shouted to his guys. "Oh, how impudent, die!" the Ataman barked in response to him. And now, in the courtyard of the Nine-Sword Mountain sect, two sides were confronted. But Yu found himself on the Ataman's path to Hongshen. "You probably don't understand, but your opponent is me." Our hero confronted him with a fact, and he began to strike with a moving sword at will. The leader of the criminal group barely had time to dodge and repel attacks. Having contrived, the man hit with all his might, but still gave in. He was terribly wondering what was wrong with this guy who was opposing him, but at least something for Kang Feng. He was even glad to have this opportunity to try out his new abilities and techniques. Our hero attacks, the chieftain repels the attack, and so on in a circle. Finally, they locked in a fight. "What stage of cultivation are you at?" The leader of the bandit camp barely had time to ask casually. "My strength is enough to kill you. So why so many questions?" Yu didn't answer him specifically. And why did he need to know this? Because the young man decided to end his life and used the technique of 3 suns against him. Even the Ataman's sword could barely withstand it, and therefore the rays of fire, bringing unimaginable heat, reached the enemy's body. "You cannot be at the stage of building the foundation," The man shouted, gasping for breath. Realizing that the young man was too strong to fight, Ataman used a 5-second crush spell to gain time. Let's leave! He's too strong! We need to retreat! Barely having time to shout to his guys, the Ataman rushed to the exit. Looking after him, Kang Feng noticed that the man had good skills, and it was not for nothing that he had reached the late stage of creating a core. "Mr. Boss!" the robbers shouted in fear, realizing that they were left alone in the enemy's lair. Ha ha ha! What a leader! He ran away without you. Looking at the remaining trio, Hongshen laughed in their faces. "Thus, let's break through! Kill as many of these brats as possible!" one of the robbers shouted, taking the position of the leader of the remaining trio. But Yu blocked their path, swinging his sword. Shouting, "Die!" he lowered the blade, and the Trinity, screaming in pain, began to writhe in its death agony in the flames of the fire. For a moment, the fight between Sang and Xiao stopped. Yu Changfeng is so strong. This must be the 9-sword mountain technique, the girl thought. "Hey, don't get distracted when you fight me," Jinny called out to her. Chang burst into abusive speech. Now she needed to be careful because her opponent used the unique technique of the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion and Cloud Transformation and began to attack. Your water sword from the Black Sword sect does not impress me at all," the man said sarcastically. "Hey, save me!" Tsang asked our hero for help. "And you didn't even raise an eyebrow." "No, honey, save your ass yourself. I look forward to your death. Otherwise, neither myself nor people." Take a couple of steps back, thought Kang Feng. He is Xiao Senyi, the eldest disciple of the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion. If he's here now, that means the pavilion is watching you too. Without the protection of my sect, the 9-sword mountain will not be able to stand against them. The Black Sword disciple screamed breathlessly. Len Hongsheng was about to come to the aid of the girl, but our hero stopped him. From the very beginning, he did not like the man, who clearly did not come with good intentions. In any case, you cannot cope with 2 opponents at the same time. Maybe it's better to just run away and let them kill each other. When the moment is right, take Jiang Yueyao and Jiang Lan, run and wait for me in the city of Shaotian, which is 50 miles from here. You ordered in a whisper so that his opponents would not hear him. "Where will we go next?" Hongsheng asked in response, and hearing the name Lei Jik turned pale. After all, going there is tantamount to death. However, since the teacher said so, then there are reasons for this, and therefore Len immediately began to follow the instructions. I didn't expect that there would be such a commotion on the Mountain of 9 Swords. After we leave, the 9-sword mountain will surely fall into the wrong hands. I hope the former leader doesn't come back from the dead to punch me in the neck. Kang Feng remembered the old master in his thoughts, and he promised himself that in 3 years, exactly 3 years, he would return to his ancestral lands again. So be it. I will help you. After waiting until Hongshen disappeared from the field of view of the others, our hero soared into the air and began to use a sword moving at will towards the girl. "Yu Chenfeng, what the hell are you doing?" Tsang screamed in fear. What an interesting turn of events, Xinhe commented while watching what was happening. "What am I doing? I want to kill you, can't you see?" Yu answered, approaching. "It's bad. Does he know that our sect attacked Jian Tiexin?" Everything inside the girl grew colder. And Kang Feng continued to play with the nervous system of the Black Sword student, striving here and there to deliver a crushing blow that would end the girl's life, but always not completely. At this time, grabbing Lan in his arms and supporting Yueyao Hongsheng, he ran to the exit with all his strength. Seeing the guys, Xinhe stepped back. "Oh, go away, I won't bother you," the man announced his intentions. "Why?" Len barked back at him. "I'm not interested in you, get out!" The senior disciple of the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion answered without giving a reason. And he kept his word. While Yu and Kanyi fought tooth and nail, Xiao watched the performance while Hongsheng and his students left the scene of the skirmish. Xiao's logic was simple. He came to the Mountain of Nine Swords in the hope that there was an incredible treasure here, with the help of which he would be able to survive the heavenly test to move to the stage of soul generation. He did not expect that an 18-year-old youth at such a stage would comprehend the art of moving a sword at will. If Xiao masters this art, then even without treasures he will be able to overcome the heavenly trials, and therefore he planned to capture our hero and extort how he did it. Xiao Xinhe, let's unite to defeat him. We'll decide later who gets the treasure. Zanyi, exhausted, offered cooperation. Do you think I'm an idiot? Without even lifting a finger, he refused to Xinhe. Having descended to the ground, you noticed that one of the main traits of a man is pride, and therefore did not rule out that as soon as he gets rid of the disciple of the Black Sword, Xinhe will definitely attack. Xiao, buddy, why don't we team up? Yu followed the girl to sign a conditional agreement. Chang's position worsened more and more. In general, the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion and the Black Sword Clan are not at enmity, but conflicts constantly arise in Yongning Prefecture. If Kangfeng and Xinhe unite, she will not survive. The girl urgently needed to decide something, and although she did not take the treasure, her life was more valuable, and therefore, having repelled the next attack, she hastened to hide. One more minus, Yu noted contentedly. Now that the opponents had surrendered their positions, nothing prevented Xinhe from conquering the treasure, and he immediately set to work. Whoa, wait! Our hero jumped a couple of meters back and tried to stop him. Under his scream, the man slowed down. Sooner or later, we will still have to fight. Do you really want to do this now that we're in this state? We're both exhausted. I think you understand that too. Our hero tried to gain some time. You're right. The time is really not right. Xiao agreed with him. After his remark, Yu finally exhaled, glad that the man believed him. Now the young man will not lose, even if he attacks the enemy now. But the longer he delays the battle, the more problems will appear in the future. Since we are going to fight, let's at least prepare adequately. Our hero began to pretend to be an honest warrior. Oh, I would never have thought that you were so brave. I'll let you live for now. Inside is a medium-level yellow tablet that will help quickly restore energy, and then after a while, we will be able to fight. Xinhe said, pulling out a small bottle from a secret pocket and throwing it towards the young man. Yule easily caught the bottle and thanked him, but was surprised to himself. Are all the disciples of the great clans really that brainless? Putting his hand behind his back, he used the elixir, while Xiao, without any second thought, sat in the lotus position and began to recover. Suddenly, a strange rustling sound prompted him to return to the real world. It was Kangfeng who rushed down on him with the agility of a kite. You fooled me, Xinhe lamented offendedly. You're just a miserable idiot, our hero commented on the enemy's logical abilities. The man barely had time to put his hands forward to call up a protective shield, but the young man easily broke through it. Goodbye, he finally shouted and disappeared into the thick of the trees. It doesn't matter how far you run, I'll still kill you, Xiao Xinhe shouted after him with all his might. At this time, in the city of Kangshuan, Hongsheng had been waiting for his teacher for quite a long time. I don't know how the head is doing, but I hope he's okay. He asked the gods for blessings. Sir, I don't understand why you do this. One of the two subordinates standing next to him carefully asked him. Are you telling me what to do now? Len slowly turned to his subordinate. You ordered everyone to save themselves, but sir, is it really worth it? Guy number 2 asked directly. You don't know how strong this master is. If we can learn a trick or two from him, it will be useful for the rest of our lives, Len explained. Isn't he a simple kid at the stage of building a foundation? The subordinate objected to him. Hongsheng had already slapped him a couple of times when he felt a strong aura approaching. I knew that he could handle it. Releasing his subordinate to the ground, he rejoiced. and at full speed he rushed to meet the teacher. Only our hero did not share his positive feelings. "How are the others?" our hero immediately asked without even saying hello. "We got there without incident. Everyone was already settled in the city," the student reported. "Nah, how long will it take your people to get to Shaoqian?" Yu asked. Hongsheng guessed that it would be about half a day at most. "Don't, then gather them in the wasteland to the west of the city. When the time comes, I will let you in on my plans," our hero ordered. Hongshen, without delaying the matter, told his guys everything. When he left, Yu finally breathed freely. He understood the excitement. The two strongest clans in Yongning Prefecture, the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion and the Black Sword Sect, made their move. It is unknown how many more forces will move against Kang Feng and his accomplices. Who knew that Zhonglan's awakening would attract so much attention? But the young man is still not strong enough. Therefore, having taken out the sword, I decided to find a secluded place to practice. If he gains power and influence, then no one will dare to interfere with him. Finally, this crazy day has come to an end. When the sky was decorated with the red-orange tongues of the setting sun, our hero, Hongshen, and some other stranger who came with him met in a vacant lot at the edge of the forest. "Greetings, master," student number 3 greeted. The girl who came with him had lake blue eyes and light brown hair. The color of her clothes was 2 shades darker than her hair. "Sir, I don't understand what we are doing here," the girl asked her friend again, crossing her arms over her chest. This is Nsai, the deputy commander of the highest fortress. Late stage of foundation construction." Not paying attention to the girl's disrespect, Len introduced the guys to each other. Instead of returning a greeting, our hero closed his eyes and allowed his aura to appear in full. "Now do you understand?" Yu asked Anne a moment later. "To comprehend the art of swordsmanship at the stage of building a foundation, it's not as simple as it seems." The girl immediately changed her opinion about the young man. "Okay, now that we have everything figured out, let's get down to business." Pretending that nothing happened, Kang Feng changed the topic. The current situation in Yongning Prefecture is not very favorable for us, so I want to go to Leiji. What do you think?" he asked his interlocutors for their opinions. "Master, there are too few of us to go there. This is a huge risk," Hongsheng objected. Tsai thought for a moment. "I think that now this trip is the best option." She voiced her thought. Yu raised one eyebrow up in surprise, not understanding why the deputy commander's opinion differed from Hongsheng's. At the moment, the situation in Yongning Prefecture is quite difficult. The Heavenly Warrior Pavilion and the Black Sword Sect had already begun to operate. The 9-Sword Mountain incident is just the beginning. Other forces are also ready to make their move. If we stay in Yongning Prefecture, we will be discovered sooner or later. Although the strongest demonic beasts are rampant in Leiji, the lack of any rules there can play into our hands, Tsai explained. But there was something else that worried her. Are you afraid that our strength will not be enough, and that as soon as we get into Leiji, everyone will be torn to pieces? Yu guessed. Tsai nodded her head affirmatively. It's not a problem as long as you're in my sect. Leiji has incredible power hidden within him. I think each of you can become stronger in the blink of an eye. Our hero tried to dispel the doubts of like-minded people. Master, are you sure? Anne asked, without really relying on other people's minds. In response, Kang Feng only smiled. How can I trust your words? The girl continued to insist. If you didn't trust, you wouldn't be here. Our hero objected to her, pulling out a small bottle. One look at the bottle made the girl excited, because it was the healing aroma of a medium-level yellow pill. Just the smell seemed to make all her weaknesses disappear. Having hidden the tablet, Tsai dropped to one knee. I'm ready to join the Mountain of 9 Swords with all the students from the highest fortress. The girl swore allegiance. Now these people are in the same boat with me. The family of them is really so-so. Kang Feng thought, before handing the same bottle to Hong Sheng. Then we decided to spend the night here and hit the road in the morning. Our hero finally ordered, leaving the guys behind. And he hurried to take refuge in a secluded place. System, these people are now also in the Nine-Sword Mountain sect. Can you pump me up? He asked the Shippo girl about his capabilities. This really could have been done. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up, Yu said, dancing on the spot. I repeat again. 10,000 times cashback is activated. The impact credit will be random. Activate? The voice assistant asked. Of course, our hero confirmed. The activation was completed, and he received an awakening of 100-fold crit and a low-quality armor tablet of an unknown level. In appearance, it was a small yellow pearl on a red pillow. Chang Feng thoughtfully examined the award. The system seems to reward even indirect followers, but the cashback is reduced. But this is also quite enough. As long as the system works, the chances of success in Leiji are much greater, and he will definitely return to the Nine-Sword Mountain sect in 3 years. And now we will be transported to the life of the Black Sword sect. Hiding from prying eyes in one of the alleys, Elder Wang played Go with himself. This game is a cross between checkers and block. Huh? Your master in non-corporeal incarnation has become even more perfect. The elders who approached Kankanyi quietly from behind complimented the improvement. Having made another move, the second incorporeal part of the elder disappeared. Were you wounded at the Mountain of Nine Swords? Wang asked about the student's well-being. This is my mistake. The girl bowed her head guiltily, as if begging for forgiveness. What is the name of Zan Tiexen's disciple? What do you think about him? The master continued to ask. It seems his name is Yu Changfeng. It seems he is at the stage of constructing the foundation. However, he already has a sword technique. This man is truly unusual. Tsang shared her observations. Sword technique at the foundation construction stage? Have you mixed up anything? The elder did not believe it. That's right. I was lucky to return from there alive. The girl confirmed her above words. That's why he inherited the Nine-Sword Mountain sect, Wang concluded. Zanyi absolutely agreed with him about this. While you were away, I received news that Yu Kangfeng and the people of the highest fortress went to Shao Kan. They seem to be going to Leijie, the man told the news. I'll sort it out, I promise, Chang assured the teacher. Upstart, what can you do about it? Do you think our sect needs to chase after the Nine-Sword Mountain sect? Unable to withstand the tension, the elder snapped at her. Having calmed down, he told her to keep an eye on the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion and the Palace of Origins, and also not to forget about the major competitions between clans in 3 years. Yes, master. Okay, I understand. What about the Nine-Sword Mountain sect? Asked Shanyi for instructions. I remember that in the vicinity of the forbidden area of Leiji, there was a clan that was completely subordinate to us. Pretending that he couldn't remember something important, Van began to remember. Tucho clan! The girl exclaimed. Yeah, send him a letter. The master finally ordered. When the moon rose in the sky and the world plunged into darkness, 5 people gathered in Yongning Prefecture in the Tujiao clan for a small but important meeting. The head of the clan was Gong Yueyu. We know what the Black Sword sect wants from us. He began the meeting. In order to describe his appearance, one can draw a parallel that he is extremely similar to a crow. Black eyes, black hair, and a thin build. Insignificant Nine-Sword Mountain sect. I don't understand what the Black Sword sect is thinking about. Picked up one man from those present. Ra, the head of the Black Sword sect, sent a message. Should we submit? Shanggong said, not paying attention to the statement of the previous man. He was the elder of the clan. Elder Shan, what do you think? The clan leader asked his opinion. Lost in thought, Gong began to tug at his beard. This is an order from the Black Sword Sect. We can't just brush it off. Let the young master deal with this matter. This is how we will show our serious attitude, he said. Yue liked the elder's words. Shan, what do you think about this again? The leader asked the elder for his opinion. The words of the students have meaning. The worthless Nine-Sword Mountain is truly not worth the Black Sword Sect, he said. However, the Black Sword Sect is planning something against the Nine-Sword Mountain, and we know nothing about these plans. Yue thought out loud. That's right, Master. What if we hit from under the radar? Shan suggested. We act according to the old scheme. We say one thing and do another. The Black Sword Sect may have claims, answered the leader. We, the Tuzhou clan, have served in the Black Sword Sect for 2 centuries. Every year we make an offering, and how do they treat us? In return, they sent us to a place where even birds don't shit, in order to protect ourselves from Leijie's monsters. How many people have died in the last 200 years? 2 old brothers are the only survivors, Xiao blurted out in rebellion in one place. The sect leader tried to bring the elders to their senses, but the man did not even want to listen to him. Master, the Black Sword Sect is cooperating with Tuzhou only because of our strength, but soon the old people will leave, and only the young will remain. Our clan will be in danger. Let me settle everything. I will solve all the problems. Even if the Black Sword Sect finds out everything, only me will be punished. Let me tackle this issue, the elder begged almost on his knees. Are you really sure? Do you really want that? Yue asked for sure. 70% out of 100, Xiao answered without hesitation. For some time they silently looked into each other's eyes. Then act, the clan leader agreed. 3 days have passed. Our hero and his small team were on their way to Leijie a long time ago. Master, in half a day we will arrive in the restricted area. I'm afraid I won't be able to go further without outside help. Hongshen expressed concerns. Yitan, the forbidden zone between Yongning Leijie Prefecture, is guarded by powerful forces. It cannot be crossed by either monsters from outside or cultivators. This is a big problem for us. Kang Feng agreed thoughtfully. Perhaps you have ideas on what to do. He turned to his team. I think we'll have to find someone who can secretly lead us through, Tsai suggested. And I have one friend. One of Hongsheng's subordinates got into the conversation. Then I entrust this question to you together with An, Kang Feng ordered. People of the underground value benefits, and the demand for their services is great. I'm afraid we can't afford it. Tsai continued to think through the plan from A to Z. Soul stones are not a problem. Leave it to me, Yu answered pathetically, showing with all his appearance that their sect was not poor. Here even Hongshen was surprised. Now you are also a member of the Nine Swords Mountain. So how much do you have with you? Smiling from ear to ear, our hero asked about his financial capabilities. Master, don't joke like that, Len begged, but there was nothing to do. This is all I have. Holding out a not small but not a large bag, he counted out. Look how greedy, I'll give you back twice as much, Yu assured him. Exactly. Hongshen didn't believe it. I said double. That means double. I keep my word, the leader answered, slowly starting to lose his temper, slightly rudely taking the bag. In any case, soon the system will reimburse him for everything, if not double, then triple. I can't believe my eyes. There are 2,000 soul stones. No wonder you didn't want to part with them. You're not so simple, our hero chuckled, putting his hand into the bag. Be careful, this money was earned with blood and sweat, Len almost shouted, cherishing his treasure. Okay, everyone follow the plan. Jiang Lan and Yue Yao, follow me, Kang Feng commanded, stepping away from his team. Master, don't forget to reimburse everything later, Hong Sheng shouted after him. He felt as if he had been tricked. Moving away so that no one could hear them, our hero divided the money into 2 parts and gave it to the student. I don't know what dangers lie ahead, so each of you needs to take 1,000 soul stones. If something goes wrong while crossing the restricted area, run, he instructed them. And I hoped that with these stones they would definitely not disappear. Such concern brought tears to both Yue Yao and Dan's eyes. Teacher, no need. I won't leave you in trouble, the novice promised. Remember that you are the 3rd generation of disciples of the Mountain of 9 Swords. No matter what happens, you need to preserve the legacy of the sect, and therefore, if something happens, run away. Yu repeated again. Yeah, I understand. I understand everything, teacher, Lan promised, falling to her knees. Moving a little into the bushes, Zhang Feng looked into the system. Since the conditions were met and the owner gave the soul stones to the disciples, he received 20 million soul stones. Wow, now I'm rich, Yu giggled nervously, covering his mouth with his hands. Teacher, what are you laughing at? Not understanding where such frivolity comes from in such a serious situation, Yue Yao asked the teacher. Yes, I suddenly remembered one joke. Trying to calm down, our hero avoided answering. Although the teacher looks cheerful, he probably has stone in his heart. I won't disappoint him in any way. I just don't have the right, Do thought, taking an example from the leader of the Mountain of 9 Swords. Ignore the reaction of his students. Yu handed both of them one small vial. This is a low-quality armor tablet of an unknown level. You are still in the chi condensation stage, so accept it and try to become stronger. The greater the strength, the greater our chances, he explained. Yes, teacher, we will not let you down, the students promised together out loud. Well, okay, go. Our hero let them both go in peace. You can't relax with these two. You constantly have to persuade and deceive in order to give something. Our hero thought without evil in his soul. He gave the tablets to the students and was rewarded with cashback in the form of larger tablets. But for some reason this made Yuya feel uneasy in his soul. Master, what is this? Are the yellow tablets really of average quality? This is a fortune! Hunshin's eyes widened from so many bubbles. What? You are all members of the 9 Swords Mountain. I must treat you with dignity. Divide these tablets among yourselves, Kang Feng ordered. He himself did not know how difficult the path ahead of them was, and therefore all team members must become stronger while they have the opportunity. Len liked this decision. Very often, before the old master passed away, our hero loved to lie on his back in the open and watch the sky. Night, day, it doesn't matter. And now, before falling asleep, he settled down on a rock and thought. The cashback from tablets of an unknown level was small, but the cashback from soul stones that he gave to his students pleasantly stroked his vanity. Although there was no guarantee that the system would activate cashback with a big script. How greedy she is! Suddenly, in the silence of the night, the crackling of dry branches was heard. Who's here instantly? Jumping to his feet and snatching his sword, Kang Feng asked the darkness. It's me, master. And Kai greeted along with one of Hong Sheng's subordinates. The only question that interested Yu was whether they had established contact with the right people. Yes, but they require a high fee, Tsai reported. Luckily, our hero is now rich, otherwise they would really be in trouble. Agree to any price? It costs us our lives, Yu ordered. The girl took the fox out of her pocket and named the 4-digit number of spiritual stones. Zhang Feng was ready for any amount, and therefore the agreement took place. They were supposed to meet the right person in 3 days. While our hero was preparing for the upcoming meeting, an equally interesting meeting took place in one of the district cities. You said that there is news about the people of the Mountain of 9 Swords, demanded an indignant young male voice. Yes, they are preparing to go through the forbidden area. The older man answered him. The hair on both his face and head was gray, and he had a black patch over his left eye. It was Bao Yi, the henchman of Gong Yue Wen, the very owner of the young voice. The guy was the son of Gong Yue Yu. The Tuzhou clan guards the forbidden land stretching for 10 li. For 200 years no one has passed us unnoticed, Ven said as if thinking. His appearance was unremarkable. Dark brown hair, brown eyes, and blurred facial features. Only his character was too lively. "And how did you find out about their plans?" he continued to ask. "There is a student in the clan whom I have been watching for a long time. He is involved in underground activities, and it was him they contacted," the assistant reported. "Then keep an eye on these people. We'll catch you when the time comes," asked the young man. "Understood," Bao answered him. In the evening at the Tuzhou sect, the sect leader and the elder spent time together, drinking tea. "The young master is really strong. I didn't expect that he would find the 9-Sword Mountain people so quickly. Praise the young head of the Shan clan. Of course, this is my son." The leader, pleased with his offspring, accepted the compliment at his own expense. "By the way, have you already decided how you will proceed? Will you arrange a kidnapping?" He changed the subject. "You can't act openly, but I've already planned everything. Once the young master makes his move, we will secretly intercept them," said the elder. "Can your people be trusted?" Yue Yu clarified. "You can be sure that this is a mortal. According to the papers, they are dead, so their past is clear. These people were specially trained in our clan for such a task. After the mission, they will not return to the clan, but will go to a secret place where they will torture the abducted in order to obtain information about the Black Sword sect. I will order them to remove the witnesses even if the Black Sword sect starts an investigation. But they won't find anything," Shan assured. "Please do everything right. I'm sure you can do it." The leader encouraged his old friend. Finally, the appointed time of 3 days has passed. Our hero and his group reached the meeting place. At some point, Tsai was frightened by a midge flying past and retreated back, and turning around she saw a young man standing behind a tree. "It's me, your guide. So many people are risky," the guy explained. We know, but you can do anything. There are 1,000 soul stones here. This is an advance payment. If you take me into the restricted area, I'll give you the same amount." And promised, handing him a bag of money. "Okay, but on the way, you must listen to me," said the guy. After which, having hidden the money, he was the first to set off, followed by everyone else. "It seems that you are familiar with these places. Are you a patrolman here?" Hongsheng decided to defuse the situation. The conductor decided to leave this question unanswered. But our hero, although he did not understand magical enclosures, felt that the vibrations of the aura in this place were much weaker. Finally, the guide pulled out a kind of magical compass from a secret pocket of his clothes, and he brought it into action, opening a portal. "Hurry up," he urged his customers. "Thank you very much." Zhang Feng thanked him for his cooperation, handing the second bag of soul stones to the guide. As always, everything could not go smoothly. From behind the bushes, they were watched by the son of the clan head Tuzhou and his hasty warriors. "Young master, they are leaving. Maybe go out?" asked the man with the eye patch. "Bring everyone to me. No one should get away," Ven ordered, coming out of hiding for everyone to see. Seeing his figure, the conductor became covered with cold spots, and our hero groaned in his soul. Why does he always have problems? "Don't move, maybe we're not interesting," the conductor advised. "No, they came for us." Yu immediately pulled himself together and disappointed him. "Yeah, you brute betrayed us!" Hongshan attacked the conductor with fists. "There is no benefit for me to give you away. Go away! If you don't make it in time, I'll say that you threaten me," the conductor yelled, dodging the blows. "Don't waste time, let's run. I'm returning everyone from heaven to earth, you shouted. Yeah, you are so insignificant. Are you still thinking of leaving me? Van laughed and pointed his hand towards the portal with spiritual power concentrated in the index and middle fingers. And with one movement he closed the portal. Young master, they forced me. If I hadn't agreed, I would already be dead. The conductor immediately fell to his knees and begged. The young master and I know that you were forced. Go back to the clan. Everything is fine. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Coming out from behind the conductor, Bao gently reassured the young man. Thank you very much. Thank you. The conductor babbled gratefully, and as soon as he turned away, Bao's folded palm hit him on the back of the neck and he fell to the ground, unconscious. Do you really take us for idiots? Forced! What a shame to invent such a thing! Bao was indignant. Well, will you come up yourself or help me? Van asked a rhetorical question, approaching closer and closer to our hero. Now facing each other stood two parties interested in each other, two forces, good and evil, attacker and victim. Both of them allowed their aura not to hide, and each of them was confident in their victory. Who are you? Kang Feng asked the enemy. Young master of the Tujiao clan. Van introduced himself without mentioning his name. Maybe we can agree, suggested our hero. Do you think you are worthy to talk to me? The young leader grinned in response. Hearing his answer equivalent to no, our hero drew his sword and put it in front of him, and the first one attacked the person standing opposite. What a pathetic trick, Ven commented on the attack, and in an instant he repelled it with a protective shield, after which he split his body and his double puppet, armed with a weapon in the form of an axe, directed it towards the enemy. Our hero encountered such battle tactics for the first time, but was not going to give up.
The deputy commander of the highest fortress was about to join the teacher in order to help him, but Hongshan stopped her. Ansai, guard the girls, and the rest follow me. Attack, then commanded.
If someone were watching what was happening from afar, then seeing the incredible force of the explosion, they thought that some kind of catastrophe had happened. But it was our hero who finally gave free rein to his abilities and dealt such a crushing blow to the young leader that a crack formed in the ground. How was the foundation building stage waste able to comprehend the technique of wielding a sword at will? Van thought, gritting his teeth so as not to give up his position. But the battle was not over, and he had to respond with a retaliatory attack. What a pathetic trick. Kang Feng commented on him under torture as Wang did a couple of minutes ago, and he turned his own attack on the young man, after which an explosion occurred again. 4 people from the Tujiao clan were still watching what was happening. If this continues, the young master will lose. What to do? Help? One of the guys tried to figure out the situation. Shut up! I'll ask Elder Shao, the 4th man shouted at the 3. He understood that their chances of winning were small, but if they sat idly by, the young master would be in danger. But if they try to save him, their mission may fail. While a fierce battle was taking place on the border of the Tujiao and Leijie clans, the elder and the leader were calmly sipping tea. Many people of the Mountain of 9 Swords have already entered the fray. Soon the Tujiao clan will rise again, Shan rejoiced, filling the cup with a new portion of the drink. The leader just laughed in response, but in an instant the elder's face changed. It was to him, with the help of spiritual abilities, that the situation at the front was reported from a distance. Shan, what is it? Yue Yu was worried. The young master is in danger, the elder reported. Impossible. Ven is at the stage of creating the core, and that guy is just at the construction stage. The leader, choking on his tea, didn't believe it. Yu Changfeng has already mastered the technique of controlling the sword. There is also another person there at the stage of creating the core. Now I understand why the Black Sword sect needs this guy, said Shan. The clan leader instantly jumped to his feet. Save Vienna at any cost. I order your people to act. Help my son and capture Yu Changfeng. Among the suicide bombers, there are 2 people at the core creation stage. I don't believe that this guy can cope with 3 of the strongest cultivators at once, he ordered, turning to a shout. Elder Shang ordered to save the young master at any cost and grab Kang Feng's head. One of the suicide bombers conveyed instructions to the others. Not daring to obey, everyone left their observation posts. And the battles between our hero and the only son of the head of the Tuzhou clan continued. I will show you what the core creation stage is, again and again trying to prove that he is stronger than his opponent Van. And concentrating his strength, he directed the axe at the enemy's head. Stage of creating a kernel? Just? You, sarcastically, and he repelled the attack of the person who was attacking him on himself. Van barely managed to dodge his own force. What terrifying power is this really our master? Yue doubted while watching the battle. At this time, our hero was already tired of playing with the worthless brat, and he decided to strike the final blow to defeat the young master. But Wang managed to summon an earth power technique, an earthen wall. Under his spell, a cliff began to form between him and Kang Feng, but Yu was able to overcome it, and the crack did not deepen or widen. How could this pathetic sword technique break my earth wall? The junior head of the Tuzhou clan thought desperately. And for being distracted, he almost paid with his life, because Kang Feng's sword slipped just a millimeter from his neck, and again an explosion, and again dust and a hail of stones. Finally, after a while since the start of the battle, the first blood began to flow. Van's, of course. How did you manage to break my spell? I'm choking in pain. He no longer screamed. I will spare you if you open a passage to the restricted area and let us leave. Placing the sword at the enemy's throat, our hero presented his conditions. No, it's impossible. I can't lose, Van whined. But then, thanks to his aura, Sang Feng felt the presence of other spiritually developed people. Young master, we are here, said the help from the suicide bombers. Among them, Yu immediately identified another one at the stage of creating the core. Let's save the young master, the main man shouted from the help. Hongsheng advanced towards him, armed with a sword. Under his anesthesia, his subordinates also began to move. Van chuckled nervously, because he was sure that our hero would have nothing against the strength of the earth of the spiky stone pillar. But Yu managed to rise into the air in time, and the earthen pillar failed to overtake him. Picking up speed and trying to jump from place to place as often as possible, he wondered why all his opponents were idiots, and why they shouted spells during an attack, because this did not make them stronger. But even though Van was an idiot, the spell caused by him from the realization of this truth did not dissipate, and he had to fight with it. Die, stone cannon! Barely having time to crawl below Kang Feng, the junior master clan leader, Tu Zhao, cast a spell. As soon as the last sounds of his voice died down, stones began to break off from a nearby stone cliff, and, as if guided by someone invisible, began to fall in a cluster on Yuya. But the young man managed to summon a protective shield in the form of a ball, which enveloped him in a protective film and did not allow stones to pass through. With every minute, our hero's desire to quickly deal with the guys who stood in his way became stronger. "Young master, be careful!" one of the suicide bombers shouted, covering his master with his body and blocking the path of the energy pillar from Sang Feng. These were his last words as he dropped dead, and right in front of Van. Where did this kid even come from? How can he be so strong? Run, you have to run, he thought in fear, stumbling and falling, getting up again and trying to hide from his pursuer. But not all people from the Tuzhou clan took part in the ensuing battle. Hiding in a hole in the ground dug by some animal, a man in dark clothes and dark hair was waiting for a desperate moment to help if something happened. He noticed that our hero is quite skilled in martial arts, and it would be too difficult to kidnap him. Even a sneak attack would not help. He also noticed that they couldn't take their eyes off Yueyao and Lan, and suggested that perhaps they were very important for Kang Feng. That's why I wanted to take advantage of this chance. Although Tsai was quite strong for her age, her spiritual capabilities were not enough to sense the master. Seeing a man approaching her, she blocked his path. But the man jerked her off her feet. The girl flew to the side, painfully hitting her back on a stone. The blow was so strong that blood flowed from her mouth, and for a couple of seconds she could not move from the painful shock. "Come to me, little ones." Having dealt with the guards, the man extended his raking hands to the girls. Although Yu shared the theory with the first and second students, they had no practice, and therefore they could not even resist out of fear. Suddenly a light flashed near them and immediately went out. It was Yu, sensing something was wrong, who tried to stop him, but the man neutralized the attack. "Perish!" Yu shouted, barely able to control himself, because now they had touched what belonged only to him, his talented student Lan. "If you want her back, find me." The man sarcastically grabbed the girl's neck with his hand. And with the speed of lightning, he hurried to hide in the darkness of the night. Our hero was incredibly sorry for such a loss, but mental pain in such cases makes itself felt a little later, and he had unfinished business. Turning on double speed, he began to catch up with Van, who was almost exhausted. "I will protect the young master!" Another suicide bomber shouted again, wanting to save the lives of the younger head of the Tuzhou clan. Well, he did it, only in return at the cost of your life. Dude, even the cultivator stage of core creation cannot survive such an explosion. Qiang Feng commented on the physical condition of the suicide bomber, observing how, after being irradiated by his spiritual hit, he began to swell and become wider and wider. After which, as our hero predicted, an explosion occurred, in which the suicide bomber, of course, did not survive. Van no longer knew where to go from fear. He didn't expect Yuri to be so strong. Luckily for him, there was a group of suicide bombers in the clan, thanks to whom he would be able to escape. At least that's what he thought. "Where are you hurrying?" Standing right in front of his eyes, Qiang Feng asked. Van screamed as if he saw in front of him a person from the other world. "You cannot kill me, otherwise my father will destroy you," the boy shouted. It was he who begged for mercy, looking at the sharp edge of our hero's well-carved sword, which he skillfully wielded. "Listen, didn't you want to go to Lei Jai? I will open the barrier and let you in, only mercy." The brat gradually began to offer his payment for life. In a fit of rage, Yu desperately wanted to kill him alive, but he understood that he should act with a cool head. My father is the head of the Tuzhou 6 clan. Let go, and I will let you go to Lei Ji, Van repeated over and over again. Our hero realized that the guy being held hostage could become a good trump card. And how are you going to lead us through? "Don't worry, you are under my wing. I won't harm you," Yu asked, having cooled down slightly. Van, of course, heard that our hero promised him not to touch him again, but the picture that unfolded behind the young man standing in front of him, to put it mildly, deprived him of words. Master, we've dealt with the rest!" Hongsheng counted down joyfully, tying the hands of Bao's henchmen. The entire clearing was stained with someone's blood. "And I like your daring look." Leaning towards the junior clan leader, Tuzhou complimented Qiang Feng. However, there were many wounded people from his group. And besides, it was dangerous to be here, so it was necessary to leave as soon as possible. Prompted by this, he ordered Hongsheng to take Wang along with them and reset the power of cultivation for the rest of the survivors and let them go. This was required so that the survivors of the suicide bombers would return to Gongyueyu and convey that Qiang Feng was ready to exchange his son for his student. Meanwhile, the kidnapper from Tuzhou's plane came to the monastery with Lan. Having tied up the girl, he sat her down at the entrance to the house, and he himself was mentally preparing to tell the head the difficult bad news that his son had been captured. "Coward!" Watching the man, Lan commented on his moral state. "Oh, shut up, I'm not afraid!" the man barked in response to her. "What will the Tuzhou clan do to you after this? By the way, I was wondering why you kidnapped a small child. The girl continued to chuckle, not paying attention to his reaction. Shut up! The man tried to stop her. The doe fell silent, but even in her quiet silence the master detected ridicule. While she was desperately conducting at least some kind of resistance against the enemy, Kang Feng and his team set up a small camp, hiding in a gorge on the border in Leijie. Did he speak? He asked when Tsang approached him along with Hong Sheng. Master, you can't even imagine how cowardly he is, Len answered, running his hand into the bosom of his clothes. And he handed the teacher a small package on which was written a spell that would break the barrier. While he was rereading the written sentences, the Shippo girl in the system sent him a message, congratulating him on mastering a yellow-class barrier-breaking spell, which would also destroy the prohibiting magic field with a 100% success rate. Our hero rolled up the paper. Now they could go to Leiji at any time. All that remains is to find a way to save Zhonglan. I'm sure you can handle it. I'm giving the spell to you. Improve your strength and master spells. He asked the lesson. Yes, master, I'll definitely look into this, Hongsheng promised, gratefully accepting the bundle of paper. So, since our hero gave the spell to his students, he received cashback in the form of the Forbidden Eye technique. It allowed one to see through the magical field below the mysterious level. Kang Feng became more and more convinced that the system was really cool. Suddenly, dozens of flashes flashed in the sky over his head, the length of the entire celestial space that was allowed to be seen by the eyes of the young man. I have an assignment for you. Spread this spell underground, Yu asked, turning to Tsai. Master, but this will cause a big commotion. The girl got excited. True, but we have neither support nor influence. We can only win in chaos. And try to establish contact with people from the underground. Soul stones are not a problem. Kang Feng continued to insist. Every time he told everyone that money was not a problem for him, in his heart he rejoiced like a child. In fact, the young man was a local rich man, whose fortune was measured at about 20 million soul stones. Okay, I understand, master. I'll get to it now. Tsai took up the matter. Then I'll go too. I'll see if I can get anything else out of this brat. After her, Hongshen also said goodbye. Finally, Yu wished him good night. After they left, he called Yue Yao to him. Teacher, it's my fault! I didn't protect my sister, the novice sobbed, falling to her knees in front of the leader of the Nine-Sword Mountain sect. Although his senior student usually looks like a crazy person, the girl's character was quite good. At this moment, Yu was once again convinced of this. This time you were powerless. I do not blame you. Stroking the girl's voice, he tried to calm her down. Yue Yao could not find words that would describe her gratitude, regret, and at the same time, a feeling of calm and security next to her teacher. Just realize your weaknesses and do everything to get rid of them. Improve, harden, strive to become stronger. Tsang Feng advised, reading silent praise in the girl's eyes. I promise I will try, the novice promised with all her heart. Sometime later, our hero was once again training with Yue Yao. Alas, his senior student did not have the talent to handle the ball. Looks like he needs to find another way to make her stronger. Meanwhile, the walls in which the Tu Zhao clan lived from generation to generation shook with abusive speech. Scum, a bunch of idiots. Not only was Yu Kangfeng not captured, but Ven was also lost. Gong Yueyu raged. The young master's henchman Bao, together with the kidnapper of the girl Lan, bowed in fear before him at his feet. There is no point in leaving such a mediocrity among us. Kill him! After listening to the disappointing story, Shang Gong ordered. By remaining silent to his proposal, the leader showed that he agreed with his decision. Have mercy, please! Bao begged, straining, when the soldiers grabbed him by the hands and took him to the scaffold. Send someone to negotiate with Yu Changfeng. They dared to touch my son. I will make their lives hell. Barely restraining himself from destroying the room in which he is located, Yue Yu made a decision. When Bao's screams died down, Shangong stood up and headed to another room, but in front of the door he turned to the male kidnapper. "You understood me." Shan asked him only one question, and without waiting for an answer, moved on with his business. While we had a free minute, our hero did his favorite thing. He lay on his back, put his hands behind his head, enjoyed the view of the sky and the breathtaking somersaults of swallows, and thought. Probably everything that happened was the tricks of the Black Ball sect, but sooner or later, Kung Feng will make them answer for everything. Hearing the sound of approaching steps, the young man stood up, and soon Sai approached him. "Chief, the work you entrusted to me is done. Some are ready to discuss cooperation," the girl reported. "And who is this? Can he be trusted?" Yu was surprised that the task was completed so quickly. It turned out that the person they needed did not want to reveal his identity and arranged a personal meeting in Banjiangpo. Banjiangpo is a gathering place for people from the underground. Anything can happen during this meeting. However, Kang Feng didn't have much choice, so he agreed to the meeting. "Chief, our captive Gong Yue Wen told us something. In recent years, many dissatisfied with the Black Sword sect have appeared within the Tu Zhao clan. Spoke about the rebellion in the enemy Tsai sect. This is very important information. It seems that the Tu Zhao clan is already ready to resist the Black Sword. This is the turning point. We can find a way to deepen the discord between the Tu Zhao clan and the Black Sword sect. And when both sides start a conflict, we will save Zhang Lan and go to Lei Jie." Yu, delighted with the news, immediately began to draw up an action plan for the future. However, in the Black Sword sect, there are two nascent soul stage cultivators. Did the Tu Zhao clan dare to break ties with them? Undoubted. Aus! What if Gong Yuwen dies at the hands of the Black Sword sect? Our hero suggested with a sly wink. The death of the young leader was the end. In Yongning Prefecture, the Black Sword sect is always threatened by the Heavenly Warrior Pavilion and Origin Palace, so their nascent soul stage cultivators are afraid to leave their homeland. So only cultivators at the core creation stage will come here. The Tu Zhao clan can remain calm for now. Kang Feng assumed the further development of events to the girl, agreed with him, realizing that he was right, and the Black Sword sect only needs you and the Tu Zhao clan knows about it. Then he just needs to become bait, in which case the Black Sword sect will not take long to show up. But as for the safety of the leader of the Mountain of Nine Swords, there is a small problem. The young man needed to go through the core creation stage heavenly trial again to continue cultivating, but he decided to think about it later. The ideal option would be if he could find a couple more students. Okay, find Len Hongsheng. I need to talk to him. After finishing the conversation, our hero asked. Tsai bowed her head before him in silent agreement, and trying not to make noise, left. Finally, when the sun began to touch the horizon, Hongzhen appeared to his master. At first, Yu was silent. When the golden saucer rolled to the second half of the globe, our hero asked, "What do you think about my sect and about me?" Hongsheng did not expect such a question, but answered it happily. "Although the master's current strength is small, I see great potential in you. Very soon, you will definitely become the strongest in Yongning Prefecture. Yes, the master is at a low stage of cultivation, but he is strong. Without your guidance, I would still be going downhill." Len shared his opinion. Listening to him, our hero tried not to smile. Hongsheng was weak, and his talent was immediate, but he was so stupid that he could easily be used for leveling up. Naturally, he didn't tell him this out loud. "Glad you think so. I like your attitude, but I called you here for a different reason. I will help you improve your strength." Kang Feng explained the purpose of their personal meeting. Hongsheng had already begun to object to him, justifying himself by saying that he was not worthy of such attention from him. "Don't talk nonsense, just understand the essence of my sword art." Yu stopped his refusal, and as in the case of Lan, Len began to have images of military equipment in her head. "Okay, how much have you learned?" our hero asked, removing his fingers from the student's forehead. "It's my fault. I only understood a little about sword technique," Len said, trying to hold back his tears. "It's okay. If you still don't understand something, you can just ask me," our hero assured him, hugging him. "I will be faithful to the sect and will never forget the kindness that the master showed to me." As if a child who was adopted swore allegiance to Hongsheng. "As long as you are with me and with my sect, I, as a leader, will not hide anything from you. If you work hard, you can become an elder in the future," Kang Feng suggested. As the day was drawing to a close, he decided to go and rest. "I will work hard, I promise, master," Hongsheng shouted after him. Finally, our hero stopped holding back his smile. The method he tried again worked as always. But if Yu was stronger, he would definitely find new students to increase his level, because right now he was not sure that he could even protect himself. In the future, most likely, he will be able to accept students regardless of talent, but they must be reliable and devoted. The strength lay in its development. The meeting of the master and his subject took place on a cliff in the forest. When Hongsheng descended from the cliff, he was met by the waiting Tsai and asked for what purpose the leader called him to him. Before Len began to answer, hot tears flowed from his eyes. "Why are you crying?" The girl did not understand such an unexpected reaction to her question. "Master just gave me the 3 Suns sword technique. I was told to work hard, and then I would be appointed as a sect elder," Hongsheng explained, wiping his wet cheeks. His words made Anne's soul warmer. Now, with such a selfless leader, they also have a family. I also have to work harder so that the master can pass on his skills to me and be proud of me. Tsai motivated herself on the way to her hut with Wei Yao, built from branches, dry leaves, and stones. While the 9-Sword Mountain sect slept on a comfortable bed in the open air, Lan spent her night in the Tuzhou sect's dungeon. She was chained by her arms and legs to the wall, leaving her completely upright. The iron straps dug into her skin, but from the experience, she felt almost no pain. 3 male suicide bombers stood in front of her, who wanted to knock at least some information out of her mouth. This girl was pretty tough. No matter what method was used, she didn't even flinch. One man was amazed at the girl's courage. "Yes, sometimes she still smiles at me. It's pretty creepy." The second man supported him. Meanwhile, the third man was rubbing his hands on a silk napkin. "Okay, you rest. We'll be back later," he said, and turned around and left the cage. "Look, why don't we do something else with her?" the first man asked the second. He was bored by the fact that the girl had only scratches and not a single profusely bleeding wound. "We were told that she should not die," the second objected to him. Sighing heavily, the first one also went to the exit, followed by the second one. But the doe was not alone in her cell cage. "Hey, smelly girl, what's your background?" asked a young voice from the corner when the steps of the suicide bombers died down. Following the question, a young man approached Lan. He was quite young and, moreover, handsome. His arms and legs were bound in chains. However, this allowed him to walk and move calmly. "Why does the Tuzhou sect keep you here, a child with a strange talisman?" The young man repeated his question again. The girl did not understand the second part of the question about the strange talisman, and therefore decided to answer the first. "I am Zhang Lan, a disciple of 9-Sword Mountain." "Who are you? Why were you put here?" the little girl asked. "My old man provoked the Tuzhou sect, but it's a pity that his skills were not so good and he was killed. I'm the only one they caught and I don't know what they want to get from me." The guy told his sad story. The doe peered intently into his face, on which not a single muscle quivered. He looks so calm, but inside he must be in a lot of pain. The girl thought. Hey, don't make such a sympathetic face. Unable to withstand such a penetrating gaze, the young man said, after which he asked if no one came to save Lan when she was captured. Yes, master. My master will definitely come to save me. Lan nodded her head confidently. Master? Usually only disciples of elders and sect heads had special masters. How did it happen that you have a master? What is its level? The cellmate continued to ask. My master, true Yuan stage cultivator. He is amazing. The girl began to describe her teacher, but she did not have enough words to convey her admiration. Having heard her answer, the young man first digested the information he heard, after which he laughed out loud. Are you expecting a true Yuan stage cultivator to come and save you? I think your master must have gotten scared and abandoned you. You better realize the truth. He laughed. Don't you dare talk about my master like that. He will come and save me. Do objected to him, pulling the shackles, but not paying attention to the pain. Ha ha ha! You must be how stupid you are. What a fool your master must be to accept such a stupid student. Your master is good at training stupid people. The guy continued to mock. Finally, the girl got tired of listening to the bullying. Don't you dare insult my master in the Nine-Sword Mountain. Apologize now, she screamed with some hidden force. The young man immediately fell silent, assuming that the small female representative in front of him was one of those girls who were difficult to deal with. Okay, I was too harsh. I'm sorry, but there's no way your master can come to save you. The Tujiao sect is full of experts, and even the Jidan stage is not enough, let alone the true Yuan stage. The guy threw up his hands. And then he heard painfully familiar approaching steps and mentally thanked fate for the girl who had shouted at him and thereby silenced him. Greetings, sect leader Elder Shan. One of the dungeon workers greeted the people who came with folded hands. The elder was not alone. Gong Yueyu also decided to walk with him. Did she really not say anything at all? Shan asked. Elder, she is very stubborn and doesn't want to say anything. The suicide bomber confirmed. Then Yueyu walked among the cages with people and went to the prisoner hanging on the wall and asked that no one bother him or touch him. Seeing the visitors, the doe mentally asked the gods to give her strength and withstand possible torture. Little girl, what is your name? What is your relationship with the Nine Swords Mountain? Turning on his inner charm, he approached Yu Kongfeng's youngest student Shang. In response, the doe chuckled and looked away. Okay, let's see how long you can remain silent, the elder said, bringing his face closer to the girl's face. Having roughly removed the scandals from her, he tied her with a rope and put her on her knees in front of him. And using his terrifying spiritual power, he concentrated it in his index and middle fingers and directed it at the girl. Some strange circles began to appear around Lan, which, writhing, reached towards her. The baby screamed from wild pain and really wanted to lose consciousness from the shock of pain, but unfortunately this did not happen. There are 3,600 winds in this technique. Every wind is a blade, and every second you will be cut by 3,600 blades. I enjoy the torment of the girl. Shan tried to break her courage. Hey, old grandfather, you shouldn't do this to a girl. Unable to watch human cruelty any longer, the young man stood up for Lan. Ah, shut up! You have no right to tell me what I should do. The elder immediately closed his mouth, and one wind blew towards him, which flew past the guy's face, leaving a bloody trail on his cheek. Speak, Shan ordered the still tormented girl. I won't answer, Lan answered, and even though there were tears in her eyes, she smiled. Out of anger, the elder clenched his teeth, and lifting the doe high right up to the ceiling, he threw it to the floor with all his might, after which, unable to find a place for himself, he went upstairs. The young man instantly ran up to the girl's body, stretched out on the floor. He didn't know what to do next, But if he leaves her just like that, then she will die. But he couldn't close his eyes to everything that happened, because he has a heart of gold and still decided to use a technique that would save Lan's life. Kneeling down in front of the girl, he enclosed her in a reliabilization magic circle. Gradually, the dough began to fill with vitality. While the Tuzhou clan was fighting death in the dungeon, Gong Yueyu and Shang Gong were drinking tea again. Even you, Elder, couldn't get a word out of her. The leader didn't believe it. It seems impossible to get a clue from her, Shan explained. Since there were no other options, Yueyu ordered the immediate release of a wanted notice. I declare that whoever catches the remaining members of the Nine-Sword Mountain will be rewarded with 100,000 spirit stones within 3 days. Even if they bury themselves in the ground, I will find the remaining members of the Nine-Sword Mountain. The leader told his trusted servant about his decision. Meanwhile, our hero, together with Ansai, hurried to the Banjanpo for the appointed meeting. Finally, a small fortress stretched out before them. Now we see the outer slope where people from the underworld gather within a 100-mile radius, and that is where the people we will meet are located, Tsai said. And she advised her teacher to be careful, since now they will be surrounded by complete criminals and bandits. By nature, Tsai was quick-tempered, but she tried in every possible way to hide her negative character trait. And now she reminded herself over and over again that there are certain rules, and as long as she doesn't violate them, no problems will arise. Having descended from the slope, they went into a tavern. When asked what they wanted to order, they asked for 1 cup of tea. The dining room was not empty, and people were passing around every now and then. When the tea was served, Kang Feng was already raising the cup to his lips when he heard a sarcastic remark towards himself. Oh, I didn't expect such a white face to appear here. Turning around, he saw 2 men sitting at the next table. In order to earn a living, they clearly performed the roughest and dirtiest work. Ooh, cute boy. Who knows which Taoist's partner in bed he is? The man continued to make wooden jokes. Angry, Tsai instantly jumped up from the table and wanted to answer the men in a similar spirit. Don't create problems because of this. The calm Yu cooled her ardor. We are talking to you. How dare you ignore us? Brother, it looks like he's underestimating us. Man number 1 got angry, flexing his fingers. How dare you be so arrogant? Despite the fact that you are only at the stage of the true Yuan, let's teach him a lesson, picked up man number 2. But they instantly changed their minds when they saw 2 people heading towards them. The first to go was Ju Tang, who was at the stage of the golden core and great perfection. Even the yellow-brown kimono could not hide the man's well-toned figure. Following him walked Xu Yu, also at the golden core stage, only her level was 5th. The girl herself was a single pink total look, a pink kimono, a crimson belt with a stone decoration in the form of a sakura flower, and white hair with a hint of pink. The men cursed to themselves because they did not expect to meet such an influential person in person today. The younger one pays tribute to the older Chiu. Does the elder have something to do here? The man instantly greeted him, putting a smile on his face. But Tan passed by without paying attention to him. Are you a Taoist, Anne? He asked Tsai. Yes, I'm glad to meet you, senior, the girl greeted. Seeing this scene, the man howled like a wolf. After all, they just tried to threaten people who know and seem to be on good terms with Ju Tang himself. If you don't want to die, then disappear, was heard behind them. It was Shoy who showed them her terrifying aura and smiled sweetly. While the men were running away as best they could, Tang headed towards our hero. You're the boss, right? He asked Zhang Feng. Greetings, elders, Yu greeted back. Looking at him, Shui didn't expect that he seemed so young. Greetings, but we still don't know what kind of work Taoist Yu is offering us, she said. Instead of answering, our hero pulled out a tightly stuffed bag and placed it on the table in front of them, explaining that this is a down payment that should satisfy them. With his all-seeing eye, Through the barriers, Tang recognized the amount of the down payment, 1,000,000 spiritual stones, and realized that the work he was being offered was definitely not an easy one. "So these spiritual stones should satisfy the elders," our hero repeated again. "I'm not interested in this." Tan shook his head and refused the tempting offer. "Are you unhappy with the numbers?" Kang Feng got excited. "No, I'm satisfied with the spiritual stones, but I'm afraid that after this work I won't be able to spend them." Ju answered with a riddle. "Senior, what are you talking about?" Tsai did not understand. "Everyone in the secret passage is well informed," Tan explained. "We understand. You entered into the position of a performer. However, taking out so many spiritual stones at once, aren't you afraid that I will take advantage of my advantage?" asked Ju. "Oh, if you want, you can try, but I think that older people are not the type of blind people." Our hero grinned. "Ah ha ha, it's been a long time since I met such an interesting young man. You guys can go back. I have to think about this. See you guys." The performer announced his decision, laughing. With his last proposal, he already seemed to say that he most likely agrees to the adventure. "Does the elder know where we live?" Tsai was surprised. "Of course, as I already said, in the secret passage we are all well informed," Tan explained to her. Our hero finished the conversation first. With a final bow, he headed for the exit, and Kai followed him. Big brother, what do you think about these two?" She asked the opinion of her accomplice. "These are very strong and attractive young people. It will be interesting to be friends with them." Chu shared his observations. "Then, since they are torturing hatred towards the Tuzhao sect, why not agree to their proposal for cooperation?" The girl asked a direct question. You see, after all, the Tuzhao sect has been in the Forbidden Land for 200 years. Although it has weakened over the years, we better play it safe." The elder explained his actions. "You're really right. After all, we've waited so many years that we don't care about the timing anymore." The girl agreed. They had nothing else to do in the tavern, but Tan decided to take advantage of his customer's unfinished tea and wanted to relieve his thirst with it. Tell Fat Man Wrong about their whereabouts. Let him find out about the child. Don't say too much, just ask him if he is interested in rewards from the Tuzhao sect. Tan asked. "Fatty Wrong is at the 7th level of the alchemy stage. Is he really needed?" She didn't understand. "If Yu Kangfeng wants to cooperate with me, then let him show me his true skills in practice." Revealed his plan to his junior assistant Ju Tang. Peace and bliss reigned around the small mountain lake, and the low clouds almost touched the water surface. A resident of the nearest mountain caves, Fat Man Wrong, was also in a state of calm and deep meditation. "Who dared to enter my cave?" Sensing the alien smell of a human body, which was not typical for this place, Wrong asked. His voice echoed through all sorts of crevices. "Comrade Taoist, we haven't seen each other for just a few days, and you no longer recognize me?" Shi Yu answered coquettishly, tugging at her lips with her fingers. The man frowned, showing with all his appearance that the girl should not hesitate, and quickly state the reason for her arrival. "I came here to give you spiritual stones." She opened the curtain of secrecy. Wrong frowned even more, not realizing what she meant. "You see, the Tuzhao sect is offering a reward of 100,000 spiritual stones for the capture of Yu Changfeng. Are you interested?" The girl told the news. "Then what is the question?" Wrong didn't believe her. No trick. I'm just asking if you're interested. If not, I'll look for someone else." She assured him. "They give so much money for it, and you share it with me?" The connoisseur of tranquility did not believe his luck. The young woman sighed heavily, not understanding how one could be so stupid and meticulous at the same time. "Eldest brother has a good reputation. There are some things in the secret passage that I can't reveal, you know?" She turned on the diplomat, and she promised that if Wrong agreed to take on such work, she would help him by revealing the whereabouts of Yu Changfeng. The man thought for a minute, weighing the pros and cons. Okay, I'll take it on. He agreed. After some time, our hero, together with Ansai, using telekinesis, put them on their swords and, controlling them like flying carpets, went to watch the territory where they and the sect stopped in order to see the enemy if something happened. Throughout the entire flight, Changfeng for some reason felt awkward and restless. Is something wrong, master? Seeing the teacher's discouraged face, Tsai became excited. Everything is fine. Let's go back and discuss our next plan, Yu answered. He decided not to share his worries with the girl so that fear would not creep into her heart. Suddenly, right in front of them, representing an obstacle in the air, there appeared a huge, several meters long palm, and fingers wriggled, as if trying to grab the pair and crush them with their fingers. Instantly getting his bearings, our hero drew his sword and entered into battle with an incomprehensible obstacle. After a couple of unsuccessful swings, the strange palm could not withstand the attack and exploded, after which his gaze saw the real enemy, Fat Man Wrong. Ah, Guy, you have some skills. The man praised the martial art of the young man at the first stage of the life and death battle. The puzzles in Kang Feng's head immediately came together. He was very careful throughout the journey. Most likely Ju Tang gave away his location. Well, what good does it do him? However, he did not have time to think, since he had to save his life and take care of his student too. If you want my head, then you should be able to defeat me, he objected to the mercenary. Rong did not like the young man's self-confidence, and without wasting time, began to attack again with his ghostly palms. In response, our hero countered him with his ball skills, raining down dozens of fiery swords towards the enemy, which, reaching the palms with one touch, destroyed the magic. However, Rong did not give up. After all, he loved money very much, and he didn't want to just lose such a wonderful opportunity to earn money. No matter how skillfully you wield a sword at a distance, you are still not good enough. He insulted our hero by throwing a condensed core at him. Now this is a real challenge. It's a shame I haven't used my full power yet. Zhang Feng commented on the attack and, like a ghost, found himself behind his opponent, who did not expect such speed from such a young man. Previously, our hero would never have thought that he could kill people so easily, but now, without any hesitation, he decided to use the increase in strength, because his own life, his honor, and his respect for senior master Jian Tiexin were at stake. Sparkling fiery lightning in the blink of an eye descended around Rong, enveloping him from head to toe in fumes, fire, and pieces of stones. When the dust cleared, Kang Feng already had his sword ready at the man's neck, and if Rong agreed to certain conditions, he was even ready to save his life. Tell me how you know where I was and I will leave you alive, the young man suggested. Oh, stop this nonsense! Just kill me! The secret passage has its own rules! Rules that are more important than life! Rong barked at him, coughing up the dust that stood like a piece of salt in his throat. Rules? Yes, fine. Then my time is not wasted. Yu was delighted with this outcome of events. Slowly, like a maniac enjoying the powerlessness of the victim, he raised his sword as high as possible. Realizing that his life was about to end, Rong narrowed his eyes, hoping that the last moments of his life would not be filled with pain. And again something of incredible power happened. An explosion that even the executioner himself seemed unable to survive. As soon as everything calmed down, Rong opened his eyes and saw the sky with the sun, and his soul rejoiced. Did he really go to heaven? But no, Yu Changfeng stood in front of him, pointing his sword at his vitally vulnerable places. Why didn't you kill me? The man began to be indignant. I don't pay attention to his objection. Our hero hit him in the solar plexus, and the fat man, having lost consciousness, fell on his back. When the man was no longer a potential threat, Ansai came out of her hiding place. A mid-stage Golden Core practitioner is not an opponent for you. Your level continues to rise amazingly. The girl admired the teacher. She watched the battle with incredible attentiveness, trying to remember the techniques and spells used, because if she could learn at least half of the teacher's techniques, then this would be enough for her for the rest of her life. I saw your zeal. Continue in the same spirit. The Nine-Sword Mountain will no longer harm you, Kang Feng assured her, letting the compliment fall on deaf ears. Yes, I promise that I will never let down your expectations. Getting down on one knee, Tsai again swore her allegiance. Yu looked again at the man's body spread out in front of him. Now even cultivators at the middle stage of the Golden Core are not his opponents, but it is difficult for him to imagine how many more powerful enemies await him in the future. The young man needs to increase his strength as soon as possible. Last time he passed on the knowledge to Leng Hongsheng of the Three Solar Swords technique, he forgot to ask for the cashback from the system and wondered if he could use the reward he received. He could only hope that there was no bug and he would be given a 10,000th crit. "System, give me cashback!" Kang Feng demanded his reward. Not. The technique of Three Solar Swords was transferred to the student. The conditions were met. Random crit is activated with 1,000-fold cashback. Get? The artificial intelligence of the system immediately responded. Our hero confirmed his choice. Only now, instead of 10,000, he had a 500-fold crit, and this happened because his cultivation had a limit, and therefore the reward was transformed into the area of the intention of the sword, and now, at the initial stage, he can control his sword as he pleases. Ochji. During the presentation of the award, a bug was discovered that was beneficial for the owner. A first warning is issued. If such behavior is repeated, the punishment will be deprivation of life. After our hero received his reward, the Shippo girl told about the unpleasant news. On the one hand, Kang Feng was incredibly happy about the gifted skill, but on the other hand, he was incredibly furious. Evil. Forgetting about those around him, the young man shouted and pointed his middle finger directly at the system screen. "Ah, leader, why are you doing this all of a sudden? Have I displeased you with my work?" Tsai asked, observing the behavior of her teacher and trying not to fall under his hot hand. Yu instantly cooled down. "Ah, this has nothing to do with you. I just remembered one unpleasant thing." Our hero turned away, embarrassed, so that the girl could not see his face. Saving the situation and change the topic. That man on Earth can no longer resist. "So maybe we can have it?" The girl stammered without finishing. Not understanding what she meant, Kang Feng looked at her questioningly and pointed the edge of her hand to her neck as if to say, maybe they should finally send the soul of Fat Man Wrong to another world. "Do it yourself," our hero ordered, nodding at the limp body. "Ah, thank you for the reward." The girl knelt in front of him again. The most valuable thing about a golden core cultivator is the golden core in his body, and the girl regarded the situation as if the teacher was going to reward her with a golden core. What is the reward? Tsai thanked me for rewarding her with a man. Do the immortal cultivators of this world really like this kind of thing? The young man did not understand the sincere words of the follower. "Yes, I didn't have to thank you. This kind of thing is in the order of things. Try to control yourself and do not harm your body." Trying to hide his embarrassment, he answered her. In Kang Feng's facial expressions and gestures, the girl caught something strange, as if he was hinting at something to her. "I understand. Although the golden core can greatly help me in cultivation, if I am too greedy, I may go crazy, which will only cause me harm. As long as I make gradual progress, I can build a strong foundation and reach the golden core stage. The leader imagines me as an unyielding mountain, and I will not fail his expectations," she realized. This is how a misunderstanding arose between our hero with his ignorance and Sai with her ability to invent. While they were chatting at the very beginning of the performance, Shu Yu was watching them in the air. She began to like the young man more and more as a person, and seemed to her to be a truly mysterious person. Although his cultivation was only at the true energy stage, he was no weaker than a golden core stage practitioner. Since the leader of the Nine-Sword Mountain had terrifying sword intent, she guessed that perhaps he was an old monster of the Yanying stage. But after observing the young man, she ruled out the possibility of this hypothesis, because the information received only indicates that he has been cultivating for less than 10 years. Okay, first I'll tell the elder about everything I saw. Let him figure out the rest himself, She decided, trying not to fill her beautiful head with heavy thoughts, and slowly began to dissolve in the air. Her body turned into pink rose petals, which were immediately picked up by the wind and carried a stunning smell throughout the valley. I knew that everything was not so simple. Seeing the rose petals, our hero quietly remarked, "Why did you say that?" asked Tsai. Yes, you just understand there's someone here spying on us," said the teacher. Judging by the huge pink cloud of petals, he already guessed where the observer's place was. Only Tsai admired the teacher's perfect cultivation, because she didn't notice anything at all. You come and go, as if this is in the order of things." Changfeng raised his voice and turned to the surrounding world, drawing out his sword and immediately using the technique of the 3 solar swords in the style of dividing the heavens. In principle, he didn't have to show off, he just wanted to try his new opportunity, since now he can use the sword at will. He liked the result, and now his ball intention will operate more smoothly. However, Shi Yu did not expect that she would be discovered so quickly by the very observant Kang Feng, and now maneuvered between a hail of hot balls flying at her. Kai had recently seen the leader of the 9-Sword Mountain take out his sword many times, but this time she literally felt the weapon become sharper and stronger. "Miss Shai, don't say you were just passing by. I won't believe it." Without saying hello, our hero immediately got down to business. And if I say that I fell in love at first sight and, starting to get bored, followed. Will you believe this? Ju Tang's junior assistant answered in a joking manner without revealing the truth of her intentions. I know that he is also handsome, and it seems that being handsome is a crime that causes such misunderstanding. Take flattery as a compliment. Chang Feng scratched her chin thoughtfully. Finally, An's patience ran out. "What is the purpose of your visit? Otherwise, don't blame me for running towards the mountain of 9 swords, she screamed. "I'm talking with Leader Yu. What right do you have to interfere?" Shi was surprised at the impudence. And suddenly, a desire arose in her to punish the girl for ignorance of etiquette, and she immediately began to teach her lesson. Tsai's soul is in her tracks, because Shi Yu is a cultivator of the golden core, and she cannot stop her attack. Suddenly, the pink lightning that stretched across her soul was cut in half by Kang Feng's sword. "Stand behind me," he commanded the girl, who, having lost her balance, immediately rose to her feet. And while the teacher was not looking, the pleased Shi stuck out her tongues. The fact that the leader decided to save and protect her in such a situation said that he valued her much more than this, as Tsai believed, a dissolute girl. Even if An is rude, it's not for you to teach her. Still holding the sword on the ground, Yu himself taught a moral lesson to Shai, who had no choice but to stop moralizing others. "Nah, closer to the point. If you don't tell me for what purpose you were watching me, and how the man with whom I just recently fought found out about my whereabouts, then I will not let you go," Kang Feng threatened. "You are clearly not familiar with flirting. How can such a weak woman be your rival?" Shi turned on her feminine charm, and having gathered more air in her lungs, she blew into the young man. "You should be more careful. If you fall into my technique of falling in love, you will not be able to resist me," she advised. Without sudden movements, our hero dispelled the shackles of love with the help of his aura. "Listen, stop making noise. Single guys like me prefer strength, but you still have to explain yourself before you leave, he said. And for the second time in the last half hour, I used the newfound technique. The fiery end of the sword pierced through the junior assistant Ju Tang. But since the young woman was not weak, the attack failed to harm her. You are so kind, but kindness can lead to sadness. I will go back and report everything to my elder brother. She said goodbye and disappeared into the sky, leaving the thoughtful Changfeng far behind. Shai was on the alert, and therefore our hero needs to be more careful in the next meeting. We have nothing more to do here. Let's go back. Ansai! He shouted to the follower, and as soon as the girl rushed at a trot after him, he hurried to the camp. Meanwhile, Ju Tang was enjoying the sunset over a cup of tea at his estate. Although he was not worried, the ceremony itself of taking the drink fascinated him and thereby calmed him. Finally, the door of his bedroom shook with knocking, and Shu Yu entered him with measured steps. Is he really that strong? The man asked one single question. The young woman thought for a moment, collecting her thoughts. Although he is only at the true energy stage, his combat power is not inferior to a mid-stage golden core practitioner. Rongxing had already suffered defeat at his hands. She told about her impression. Sensing something was wrong, Tang became concerned about whether Shi was injured. The younger one told him that before leaving, Kang Feng noticed her and they exchanged blows a little. Hearing this, the man unceremoniously took her right hand and began to feel her pulse. He didn't expect that a simple true energy stage practitioner would be so cognizant of the sword's intent that even Shi was unable to avoid Kang Feng's sword intent. It's getting more and more interesting. You know, I want to meet him. Ju was fired up with desire, and leaving Shi to wonder what would happen when her elder and the leader of the Mountain of Nine Swords met, he took off and teleported through the closed window. After which, still floating in the air, he summoned his faithful favorite, the Black Dragon, saddled it, and rushed to search for Changfeng. He didn't have to search for long, and he didn't have to reveal his identity either. At this time, our hero, together with Ansai, had a combat training during which he taught her various techniques. When the girl got a little tired, they went to a nearby stream to get a drink. Having not achieved his goal, Yu began to catch the aura of a familiar person. A couple more steps, and he stopped. Since you have come, show yourself. Should such a big man go into hiding? He turned to the environment, and if the young man did not take any action, then Sai became alarmed. Her hand immediately groped for the hilt of the sword. Questions and a plan of action began to arise in her head. Who is the person who came here? Were they being watched all this time? If a fight breaks out, we need to find a way to retreat to the valley. If you don't come out, then don't blame me, Kongfeng said again seriously. Oh, wow. Chief Yu was able to defeat the Golden Core cultivator while only at the stage of true energy. A true young hero was heard from behind the guys. And Ju Tang appeared before them, breaking into a smile. And Sai, he is not an enemy. Without taking his eyes off the man, our hero said to the girl, who immediately put the sword back in its sheath. When the weapon was hidden, the young man decided to start negotiations. You didn't come here to exchange pleasantries with me, right? He asked. But Tan assured him that he only wanted to discuss the issue of cooperation with him, and he was terribly interested in what you thought about this. Aren't you going to explain yourself first? Leaving the question unanswered, our hero asked. I knew that such a question would be too unpleasant for you. It is normal for you to harbor anger in your heart, but I have something to hide and hope that Chief Yu will come to my position. There are 100,000 spiritual stones here. I hope they can dispel your resentment. Tan answered. And with a slight toss, he handed it to Kang Feng. However, the young man's gaze was not tempted by such a gift. He knew what Zhu was trying to achieve and was outraged that he was offering such a trifle. There are 1,000,000 spiritual stones here. Take it and get out of my sight, our hero ordered, throwing a heavy bag of money at the feet of his interlocutor. Dude, I'm a rich upstart with a lot of spiritual stones. Didn't you just stick your face out so I could hit it? Watching the reaction of his interlocutor, Kung Feng sneered in his soul. At that time, Tan was amazed that our hero was not impressed with his offering, but he wasn't going to just give up. This is the spiritual energy of the 5 elements, the spiritual energy of the earth. She is highly prized among golden core cultivators. I hope Chief Yu will understand my intentions. I move my fingers through the energy ball. Tang again presented a gift. Our hero tried with all his might not to roll his eyes, because he was just having fun, and did not expect to get his hands on the spiritual energy of the 5 elements. But on the other hand, the spiritual energy of the 5 elements is extremely important for you. Since Chu was able to pull out one sphere so easily, it means he also has a second one. Now the young man decided to fool him again. Ha 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 ha! And what should I do with such a little thing as the spiritual energy of the 5 elements? He sarcastically crossed his arms. So that's what he's trying to achieve. Do you think I will allow myself to be insulted? If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't wait for someone more suitable than you, then I would have already shown you how terrible I am. Chu slowly began to get angry. But still, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a sphere of spiritual energy of water. However, he clarified that if Kang Feng continues to turn up his nose, then he sees no reason to conduct further conversation regarding cooperation. But our hero was satisfied with the presentation and was glad that he managed to find the line and did not press harder than would greatly offend the interlocutor. Moreover, now the 9 Swords Mountain cannot make too many enemies, so there is no need to be greedy. Putting on a smile from ear to ear, he hurried to hug Tan, but contrived and first of all took the water sphere. And you're telling the truth. You're older than me, so I'll call you brother. Feeling the gap between them melting, Yu suggested. And I thought that you were still angry with your brother, Ju answered him. Although from the point of view of age, he was old enough to be his ancestor. No offense, brother, but you're talking to me like a stranger. Next time call me Junior, otherwise I will be so offended by you. Kang Feng pretended to be slightly offended. Tang immediately accepted his guilt and apologized. Listen, brother, I have a little wine hidden, and therefore you have 3 penalties. Having acquired the man and dragging him towards the forest, our hero hastened to celebrate his reunification, and Kai had no choice but to follow the sect leader and admire his diplomacy and the fact that just recently he was ready to draw his sword, but literally, in an instant they became close friends. While our hero and his brother went to sing wine in the Black Sword sect Kankanyi, and together with her mentor Wang played Go. Between the game, the elder decided to discuss the latest news, or rather rumors, that Yu Kangfeng fled to the Forbidden Lands. The girl took the elder's chip with her black stone. Yes, master. He had a run-in with the Earth Omen sect. According to reliable information, the Earth Omen sect is opposed to our Hidden Sword sect. She reported throwing the white stone into the bowl. These scum are so impatient to go to the next world, Van commented in response, causing damage to the girl in the game. Master, in fact, I still can't understand why you value such a small sect as 9 Sword Mountain so highly, Zanyi admitted. Now that the Heavenly Weapon Pavilion in Yongning Prefecture is close to our sect, the true Origin Palace is keeping aloof. In fact, he is waiting for the best developments. We are being suppressed by 2 hidden sects, the Tangchang sect and the Yusan sect, which are 2 great hermits, which is why we are having a hard time, the elder explained. Master, I still don't understand. The girl shook her head from side to side. Although the 9 Sword Mountain is only a small sect, it has a legacy. Having obtained it, I can confidently take a step towards a new day when our hidden ball school can rise to the top in Yongning Prefecture. Van chewed in more detail. After his words, Zhang knelt down in front of him. The student understood. The master is like the sun and the moon. It will be great luck for a student to get 1/10 of the experience of her mentor, she asked with hope in her voice. The elder laughed. You are still young. The future of our school depends entirely on your generation. Get up, let's continue playing Go, he said, and extended his hand to the student. When they sat down to play again, Tsanyi asked about his future plans for the Forbidden Lands. But the elder had already decided everything. He wanted to send Lin Pingbu to deal with the Tujiao sect and bring back Yu Changfeng. While he was in deep thought, our hero, together with Jutang and An Tsai, hid in a cave and poured an alcoholic drink. Well, brother, don't I have excellent wine? Changfeng asked, after taking a sip of the first cup. Ah, quite peculiar. After tasting the drink, Tan shared his feelings. Wine is like wine, and we can continue to drink it along the way, but it would be better to get down to business first. Brother, do you disagree with me? Our hero reasoned. Joe was a little slow to answer due to the fact that Kang Feng's face changed faster than the pages turned. He couldn't understand at all what was on the young man's mind. No, I absolutely agree, of course. Let's get down to business. He agreed with his brother-in-law and put the unfinished cup on the table. After which he stood up, walked a couple of steps forward, and with a wave of his hand, a three-dimensional 3D map of the lands of the Tujiao sect appeared in the air. What you see now is the structural diagram of the Earth Omen sect. This route will allow us to secretly get into its central part. I will assist in the rescue of your captured student, Tan explained. Listening to him, our hero frowned slightly. Brother, it seems to me that something is wrong here, the young man said to the man, clearly suspecting something. And where? Ju did not understand him. And even though in life he was a fairly calm person, this situation slowly began to unsettle him. What did he do wrong, and where did he miscalculate that they don't seem to trust him? If they told you about it so cordially, they could have set a trap on this route. Then the game will be over for me, Yu said directly. Tang was indignant. Don't they really believe him? Hey, don't forget about your own protection. I only have one life anyway. Not paying attention to the indignation of his comrade, our hero pulled a face. Ju breathed in and out several times, trying to get back to normal. As soon as he calmed down, he hurried to assure Kang Feng that he had nothing to worry about, since he had been at enmity with them for a long time. I still have not reached the Yuanying stage. Don't bother yourself. Tell me. The leader of the Mountain of Nine Swords demanded details. In the past, I founded the Tujiao sect with Gong Yue Yu. Later, he wanted to take sole control of the sect and teamed up with the Hidden Sword sect to attack me. My Taoist partner died at his hands. Tan opened the curtain on his sad fate. Listening to his story, our hero carefully watched the facial expressions and movements of his brother-in-law, which did not look like a lie, and therefore decided to believe him for now. This is of course a sad story, and it's all in the past. So why talk about such sad things? By the way, you remained single for so many years. Do you have a girl you like, or can I introduce you to someone? For example, Tsai is quite good. As if forgetting about the presence of his sequence, Kong Feng offered a choice. Head Yu, let's get down to business. Zhu tried to change the subject. Yes, first, business, and then matchmaking. Let's help each other for the common benefit. We'll talk about relationships later. Kang Feng agreed with him, raising the cup of wine as if making a toast. While he was making plans against his opponents, sect leader Tu Zhao was making plans against him. Did you manage to find any useful news regarding Yu Kangfeng? He addressed the elders assembled on his orders. Chapter. According to the secret channel news, the traitor Ju Tang made contact with him. Shanggong immediately reported. If he decided to intervene, then things will only get more complicated. However, Despite the complexity of the situation, it is necessary to stabilize morale. The leader was not happy about the news. How to take care of this rootless one? Do you have countermeasures? He asked those present. Chapter, Be that as it may, Ju Tang is a cultivator at the peak of the Golden Core. We should beware of him. Second Elder Zhang Gui stated his concern. Does the second elder really have a proposal? Yu prepared to listen to him. Most likely, Ju decided to invite Yu Kangfeng to unite against us. Why don't you let me use the secret passage to find out about Ju Tang, and then take the gatekeepers to capture them and rescue the young sect leader? Guy suggested. In fact, his intentions were completely different. Elder Brother Tang always treated him with all his kindness, and if Gui had not been under the pressure of circumstances at a certain point in his life, he would never have helped this crazy elder and dreamed of quickly leaving the gates of the sect, so as to never return to it again. But the leader denied his proposal. Then the third elder Liu proposed his candidacy. The sect needs the first and second elders to allow the leader to calmly deal with Yu Kangfeng and the traitor Ju Tang. Let me go to news gathering, he asked. Like the second elder, he was secretly grateful for Ju Tang's kindness towards him. In addition, the elder brother passed on the Taoist technique to him, and as the second elder, when the coup happened, he did not have the strength to resist. He was afraid that Zhang Gui knew the elder very well, and therefore if Yu sent Gui, then he could soon find out the location of the elder, and the third elder decided that he should quickly find Tang first, and report everything to him. The head, the traitor Ju Tang, is at the peak of the Golden Core, and with him the eccentric Yu Kangfeng. The third elder may face danger, even though he is at the middle stage of the Golden Core. Better send me along with him, even if we can't win, at least we can defend ourselves, was heard behind the backs of the first trinity of elders. This voice belonged to fourth elder Wang Wei. Zhang Gui and Liu Yi are ungrateful scum. They completely forgot about the kindness of their elder brother. No matter what, I must get ahead of them and warn Big Brother about the danger, he thought. But this was not the last person in the hall who saw traitors in those around him, and who supported Ju Tang with all his heart. Chief, this matter concerns the future of our sect. Even though I am the weakest among them, I also want to go and do everything in my power to protect the sect. Raising his voice slightly, the fifth elder Shen Kong decided to speak out. He believed that if everyone had forgotten the kindness of his elder brother, then he would never forget it, and as soon as news of Tang appeared, he would immediately unite with him to get rid of everyone. I am very glad that our sect has such devoted elders. Looking at the peculiar performance, Yu laughed. We will sacrifice our lives for the good of the sect, all four elders promised, kneeling on one knee in front of him. Inwardly, the leader was surprised at their confident inflexibility. Since this is the case, I will stay close to the head. The second elder is at the late stage of the Golden Core and will be the first to come into contact with Yu Kangfeng and the representatives of the light side, and the third, fourth, and fifth elders will secretly investigate their location. Shang ordered, looking towards Yu. The first elder's words sound reasonable, so that's what we'll do. The sect leader agreed with his decision. By this time, Len Hongsheng and Shiyu had approached our hero's secret cave. Together with An Kai and Ju Tang, they listened to the young man with enthusiasm. Everyone understands the current situation to a certain extent, and I will distribute the tasks. Len and An, you will search for a way to contact the Tu Jiao sect and negotiate a hostage exchange. Your goal is not to successfully conclude a deal, but to detain the elders. Have questions? Asked Kang Feng about understanding. With the sword technique you passed on to me, my skill with the ball has increased. I may not be able to defeat them, but I will be able to detain them. Tsai has not yet reached the golden core, but she feels that she is standing at its threshold. "I will live up to your expectations," assured Hongsheng. "I want to entrust Miss She to secretly help the village." Kang Feng continued to distribute tasks. The practitioner of the technique of falling in love accepted his order in silent agreement. "Artie, brother, how about choosing a day for negotiations while we make our way to the sect?" Yu continued to clarify the questions. Tan proposed to act in accordance with the younger's calculations, which had already been discussed with him. At this time, Shi, standing in the country, did not take her eyes off Kang Feng. She knew that the young man was not very old, but she felt a special strength in his manner, and she was a little attracted to him. Since everything has been decided, I would like to express my gratitude for your help in saving my student Jiang Lan." At the end of the meeting, our hero expressed gratitude. But when everyone headed towards the exit, Miss Shai asked to stay for a couple of minutes. "Do you have any business with me?" The young woman turned around and asked. "Do you mind chatting in the valley in the evening?" the young man suggested to her. She looked at him carefully. The fact that the leader of the Nine-Sword Mountain sect stopped her before leaving, and the look with which he looked at her, made her think. Perhaps he has other plans for her. But on the other hand, from the expression on the face of Ju Tan, who did not go far to hear their conversation, it was clear that he was not worried at all. "If you decide to do something beyond what is permitted, then I will reveal your true essence," she thought, imagining the possible turn of events. "Since Brother Yu asked you to stay, follow him. However, don't stay near him for too long. My sister is not old enough to stay somewhere alone for a long time. If she doesn't come back before midnight, as an older brother, I'll be pretty worried," Tan warned, and his eloquent look confirmed the above words. Brother, calm down. Your sister is my sister. If anyone dares to be rude to her, I, as a younger brother, will personally deal with him," our hero assured him. "He knows how to take advantage of the situation. According to the seniority of mortals, I am old enough to be your grandmother," Shar thought, and out loud she thanked our hero for caring for her. Bright stars lit up in the sky. Lying on his back and placing his hand under his head, our hero played as if with balls with 2 elements of spiritual energy, and, as always, Shar was thinking while waiting. Now he had 2 of the 5 elements of spiritual energy needed to break through to the golden core stage. He wondered if Brother Tang had more for him. Now the most important thing is to increase his own strength. Finally, when the moon ascended to the heavenly arena, the young man felt the approach of Shi's aura, but did not even move. "You are a very interesting person." The young woman made something like a compliment, approaching the leader of the Nine-Sword Mountain sect with inherent grace. Hearing her voice, Kang Feng sat up and turned to her. "Finally you came. I was already worried that you wouldn't come. Why stand? Take a seat. There is an empty seat next to me," and pointed with his hand to the nearby green grass. Trying not to look tense, Shi came up and sat down next to his left hand. Trying to understand what Yu was up to, Yang Feng showed her 2 magic balls at arm's length. "I was a little embarrassed to ask your elder brother during the day, but do you still have any elements of spiritual energy left?" "Money is not a problem for me," he asked. Chapter U. You shouldn't even think about buying such a rare treasure of heaven and earth with money. Still, it is an element of spiritual energy. Even if you do not lack spiritual stones, the spiritual energy of the 5 elements is a priceless item. The fact that the elder brother gave 2 elements is already unexpected generosity. "We don't have any more," she answered in a calm voice, but in her head there was a complete mess going on. "Kang Feng is so concerned about the elements. Do they have anything to do with the cultivation technique he cultivated? Let's see if I can charm him and get the truth out of him." She planned to use her perfected technique of falling in love. The young woman sat closer to the young man, and her face was less than 1 elbow away from our hero. "Look into my eyes," she asked unobtrusively. When our hero met her gaze and could not take his eyes off her, she asked the following question: "Am I beautiful?" And it was impossible to answer no, since the sitting maiden in front of Chang Feng was the ideal of femininity collected in one body. "Beautiful, very beautiful," you answered as if in a fog. This technique of falling in love began to work, and the young woman's hot body, big eyes, and pretty face fueled interest. Suddenly, the voice of Shippo was heard in Kang Feng's head. "Girls, voice assistant from the system. It was revealed that you were subjected to a psychic attack. The hallucination was dispelled." And after her words, the guy's mind became clean and clear, like a calm lake surface. Meanwhile, she began touching the sect leader's neck and face. "What do you want most?" she asked insinuatingly again. After the technique of falling in love was dissipated, our hero needed to show all his acting skills so that it seemed that he was still under her spell. Although he did not think that the younger-named sister Ju Tang would decide to use her seduction technique on him and decided to repay her with the same minted coin. Miss Shai, my goddess, I want to kiss you!" Zhang Feng spoke about his intoxicating desire. This is what the young woman needed. "Reveal your secrets to me, and I will let you do what you want," she promised. Slowly, Yu began to understand her motive, or rather, that she wanted to reveal his secrets, a secret about the system that would bring huge problems to him, and even thought about removing the young lady as a witness. However, I immediately drove this thought away. Now that his cooperation with Ju Tang is in a dilapidated state, he should observe first. But if she knows about the existence of the system, then it will never be too late to eliminate it. No, I only want the fragrant lips of the goddess. Otherwise, I won't say anything. Turning away and scratching his nose, the young man became capricious. Although Shi did not expect any objections from him. "All men in this world are the same. Only the elder brother is a true righteous man. Okay, you will get what you want in the illusion I created." The woman was indignant. In any case, it was not her plan to copulate with what she considered to be a milksucker. "Then you will have to keep your promise." She pointed her finger at her lips. "Okay, I'll hold him back." Our hero promised, and before Shai had time to create the illusion, the young man took her chin, pulled her towards him, and pressed his lips to hers. "Chapter you! How could you prank me like that? Don't mock me!" the young woman screamed, shrinking away from him. "How did this happen? He must have been hypnotized. He managed to dispel my seduction technique. This shouldn't have happened." Shi wiped her mouth with her sleeve and became agitated. "Oh, how? What just happened?" Kang Feng pretended to be a fool, although in his heart he felt more mischievous than the devil himself, because the woman herself involved him and then ran away. She wanted to charm him and then kill him for non-recognition. That same day, just in the morning, 3 elders from the Tujiao clan went on a search with Ju Tang, and also, if possible, to capture Yu Changfeng. They covered the distance, of course, not on foot, but by rising into the air, cutting through the sky like falling stars. After leaving the clan's lands, the trio began to wonder about the whereabouts of their older brother. "Elders, where do you think the traitor Ju Tang might be?" asked the opinion of Louis's colleagues. Wang Wei, hearing his question, became wary, remembering that although Liu had not communicated with his elder brother for many years, he should have remembered about the Banjiangpo slope. There is a boundless sea of people in the world. I don't even have a guess," Wei answered. Then, Shen Kong suggested starting the search for Ju Tang separately, and when they find out, they will meet later. But I kept thinking, how can I sneak away to my older brother alone? These two can give me a great chance. Louis rejoiced in his soul. The fifth elder gave a good idea. Let's split up, and when we find out something, we'll pass on the news to each other. He supported the idea. Having agreed on this thought, all three elders separated and flew along the only path known to them. Each of them rejoiced that he had fooled the others around his finger. For example, Louis decided to make an additional detour so that others could not detect him, while Wang Wei, on the contrary, accelerated because he believed that Zhu Tang could not cope with the other two alone. And Shen Kong was sincerely happy, like a child, that he would finally be able to reunite with his older brother. During the flight, the day passed extremely quickly, and what was the surprise of Liu Yi, Cun, and Wei, when on the slope of Banjiangpo they met each other face to face. What a coincidence! The third elder smiled artificially. Indeed, you can't say it any other way. I thought of looking for a student in Banjiangpo. Wei tried to get out of the situation. What the hell? Why did I meet them in this place like a bolt from the blue? And how can I contact my elder brother in this situation now? Louis gritted his teeth in anger. The fourth and fifth elders were thinking the same thing and were upset that they would not be able to contact their elder brother in front of everyone. However, despite the fear, each of them is obliged to meet him. While each of the elders was trying to avert suspicion from themselves, Zhu Tang noticed them from the slope of Banjiangpo. Having gone downstairs, he approached them. I really didn't expect to meet you after so many years, he said slightly sadly. Since 3 came, he should have greeted them. And Tan himself remembered them as boys, and they literally grew up in his arms. The man missed those times terribly. Years, like a building, have not been seen for several hundred years. Liu Yi, Wang Wei, Shen Kong, I am very glad that each of you was able to break through to the Golden Core stage. Tan continued to speak. The elders at first thought that they heard the voice they heard and were hallucinating. But when they turned around and saw their elder brother whole of flesh and blood, they rejoiced in their hearts. The first one recovered from Louis' shock. Deciding that he urgently needed to come up with a way to get rid of the other 2 elders. Go away! I will stop the traitor Zhu Tang! Taking out his sword, he ran forward and covered the guys with his body. But that was not the case. Third and fifth elders, stand down! Let me sort this out! Wei presented his candidacy, who simply could not afford for the others to attack his older brother. But Shensong decided to act differently, since Zhu had come, he had no need to pretend, and he himself no longer had the desire to return to the Tujiao clan. While there was a spiritual confrontation between the 3 elders, the Tan looked with a smile at the faces so dear to his heart, and although they seemed aggressive to him, he did not feel their intention to kill him, and guessed that they were only playing some strange performance among themselves. And then Sun decided to act. He pulled out small daggers from his sleeves with the dexterity of a monkey, and began to wrap them around his hands so that the weapon picked up speed. After which, without a bit of doubt in his soul and no twinges of conscience, he threw daggers at the backs of the 3rd and 4th elders. For the first moment, the men only stared in surprise at the knives that pierced them through. Big brother, go away! They forgot about the kindness you showed and wanted to harm you. I, Shen Tsong, have not forgotten anything. I'll stop them, Sun shouted when the damage was done. While Zhu Tang was sorting out his 300-year-old family drama, Shi Yu still could not recover from the shock caused to her by the proximity of our hero. You Changfeng, you are the head of the sect. Don't act so shamelessly. The young woman continued to grumble, seeing how our hero again reached out to her for a kiss. Oh. What are you talking about, Miss Shai? I don't understand, and I don't know anything about what just happened. The young man continued to deny. He promised himself that he would not admit to what happened even under pain of the death penalty. Finally, Shi realized that she should stop, because if this confusion continues, then she will not be able to explain herself to Zhu Tang, and therefore she should return as soon as possible and report everything to the elder, so that he himself can make the final decision for her. She quickly got up and brushed the earth and grass off her clothes. "If you have no more questions for me, I'll go," she said, and turning away was about to leave the valley. "Miss, wait! I would like to ask you one more question. What do you know about the Black Sword Sect?" Kang Feng stopped her. "What? Are you at enmity with them? But that's right, you went against the Tu Jiao clan. So the Black Sword Sect must have targeted you." She guessed. She was incredibly interested in what kind of grudge the Black Sword harbored against her interlocutor, that they so wanted to get rid of him. While communicating, they walked and went down to a mountain lake. Our hero picked up a pebble and threw it across the water surface, counting how many cakes he missed. "I'll just say that this has nothing to do with you. My late master died at the hands of the Black Sword Sect," said Kang Feng. Although he knew little about the changes that had occurred in the Tu Jiao clan, he could guess that they were due to the Black Sword Sect. Jiu Tang has been conducting investigations for many years, so most likely it will not be a problem to obtain information from him that interests our hero. So that's the secret. Since Leader Yu is asking through me, I can tell you about the Black Sword Sect. After all the years of investigation, it was discovered that they had 3 Yuanying masters, one of whom died during a retreat, and the other who disappeared 50 years ago. Now there is only one Elder Wang left to oversee the sect, said Shay, and she suggested that if the Black Sword Sect was behind the murder of Jian Texan, then it was the work of Elder Wang. Elder Wang means Yuanying Stage Sword Cultivator. I'm understood. Thank you. Our hero thanked. Wow. When faced with such a monster, you still think about the place. Just wondering how a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Still, you are a young hero. Sure admired the desperation of the young man standing in front of her. I am a sword cultivator capable of killing a person at a distance of 10,000 li. If my back was strong enough, I would have destroyed the entire Black Sword Sect by now, Yu boasted, accepting the compliment. If it were not for the fact that he had already transferred the equipment this month and could not yet receive cash back, he would have been able to make a breakthrough that very evening. Looking at him, She still couldn't understand him. Sometimes this man looked like a treacherous businessman to her, sometimes like a withdrawn evil spirit, and now like a shrewd sword cultivator. The young woman still couldn't discern which of these 3 personalities was the real him. Suddenly they began to catch footsteps approaching them, and Sai greets the head. The girl bowed to Kang Feng. The young man guessed that she hurried to him, obviously for a reason. We have already arranged a meeting with the second elder of the Tu Jiao clan and agreed to negotiate at Manhwa Pond in 3 days. Tsai told about the progress. Len Hongsheng also discussed the details of the negotiations with the second elder. I am sure that you can handle everything yourself. So now you are free, our hero assured the girl. Miss Shi, you heard everything yourself. The time is so late that I hope that you will tell your brother that we will begin to act in 3 days. I hope you don't decide to retreat. Jiang Feng turned to his temptress. Don't worry. I will definitely pass on your words. There is no point in postponing such a big event, the young woman said finally, and bowed and went on her way. After her, Tsai also decided to say goodbye, but our hero still had a couple of words for her. Very soon you will be able to break through to the golden core. You checked his observations. With the golden pill you gave me last time, I am already on the verge of breaking through to the golden core, and over time I will be able to break through even to the stage of the condensed core. I will do my best, the girl promised, and thanked at the same time, standing and bowing before the master. I already said that you shouldn't bend the knee. I don't have such a rule. I asked you to stay because I have something to tell you. If you fail to break through this month, I will help you break through to the condensed core next month. Our hero assured her, holding out his hands to the follower. He promised, of course, for his own benefit. The Tujiao clan was a middle-class clan in Yongning Prefecture. They must have an elixir that promotes a breakthrough to the condensed core stage. Now he really lacked capable subordinates. Meanwhile, Yu's warm words brought tears to Kai's eyes. "For what merits of mine do I receive such care from you? I will never forget your kindness." She thanked and swore to God in her soul that she would be faithful to the leader and the Mountain of Nine Swords all her life until her death. "Ha ha! Go, smart girl. Try hard. I will definitely help you achieve your future goal. I never hide my feelings from my students. Good night." He said goodbye. And turning around, as if to show that the conversation was over, he went to his secret cave to rest. Only Sai was still standing in place, wiping her wet cheeks with her hands. "The leader treats me so well, so I must help him achieve his goal," she admonished herself. Suddenly her cheeks turned red from the realized truth. But she couldn't just fall in love with her own teacher. Moreover, their position from the point of view of society is different as mud and cloud. How can she be worthy of him? But her girlish heart did not think about it. Even if their positions are different and Changfeng chooses another as his partner, she will still always be by his side. If the adventures of our hero and his subordinates were over for today, then Ju Tang still had the final part ahead of him. "Shen Tsui, bastard, I knew for a long time that something was wrong with you. Big brother, run! I'll stop him," Louis shouted angrily. "Ungrateful freak, so you showed your true colors." "Big brother, be careful," Wang Wei shouted after him. "Elder brother, the Tujiao clan already knows that you have teamed up with Yu Changfeng. You're at a disadvantage. I came only with the intention of conveying this news. Go away, I'll hold them back." Sun prepared to pull out the daggers from the elders' bodies and cover Tang with his body. "Don't trust him. Shen has not cared about your kindness for so many years. He is your enemy." The fourth and third elders shouted in one voice, and they fell silent, being in shock and looking at each other. Tang and Sun also did not immediately understand everything. Suddenly, Jai laughed. Judging by the situation, each of the elders wanted to convey information to him in their own way. It was not for nothing that he taught them Taoist techniques, if they treated him that way. "You are still the same as in the past, naive and slightly careless," he laughed. Fortunately, the wounds on the men's bodies, thanks to their regeneration, began to slowly heal. "Did you also want to tell the elder the news?" asked Sun. "I have always been faithful to him. At that moment, my strength was running out, and I had no choice but to accumulate strength and improve. And the clan decided to go against my elder brother. How could I stay on the sidelines?" Wang Wei admitted to everyone. "So you decided to leave the clan and join the elder?" A puzzle slowly formed in Louis's head. Finally, everything fell into place. "I really appreciate your thoughts." Tang thanked the trio. "Brother, now the Tujiao clan, together with Gong Yueyu, is preparing to attack you. We decided to find you and are not going to return. Let's go to the Lake of Lightning together?" suggested Sun. "Exactly. We think alike. With our strength, we will be able to get to him, and then we will return and take revenge on Gong Yue." The rest of the elders agreed with him. Just like that, many events happened in one day. Shi kissed Kangfeng against her will, and Ansai realized that she was selflessly in love with our hero. And Jutang was no less lucky. After so many centuries, he was finally reunited with his already grown-up but painfully beloved boys. The next morning, Jutang held a meeting with his wards on the Banjiangpo slope. "Brothers, we have already officially cooperated with the Nine Swords Mountain, and now is the best time for revenge. I'm not going to run away, so sis, has Yu Kangfeng prepared everything?" He asked about the progress of the operation. They have already contacted the clan, and Kang Feng asked me to tell him that the operation will begin in 3 days, said Shay. You heard everything. I will personally kill Gong Yue and Shang Gong in the near future, Tang said, turning to the 3 elders standing behind him. Elder brother, it's not that I don't believe you, but is it worth believing the Mountain of 9 Swords? Should they be trusted at all? Wang Wei doubted. Yu Changfeng is the head of the 9-Sword Mountain sect, and he is very mysterious. Although he is only at the true energy stage, his combat power is in no way inferior to late-stage Golden Core practitioners. Therefore, I hope that you will continue to stay in the clan and create opportunities for us to break through. I will arrive at the Tuzhao clan in 3 days. Zhu spoke about his plans. Okay, we will help you achieve your goal. Let us help you take revenge on Gong Yue and Shang Gong and avenge your bride. Louis spoke for all 3. Wei and Kutz were of the same opinion with him. The allotted 3 days for preparation passed, and when the last rays of the sun said goodbye to the world, our hero with Zhu Tang and his charges set off. The journey will be dangerous, so be careful and at all costs, try to save your lives, I ask you. Blocking the rustling wind in their ears, Kang Feng instructed the others. The Mountain of 9 Swords will fight to the end, and Sai and Len Hongsheng promised without saying a word. During the flight, Tan not only thought about the upcoming situation, but also admired the courage of our hero, because he was not that many years old, and such courage was extremely rare. Thanks to these qualities, if Yu does not die young, then in the future he will be able to carve out a place for himself in Yongning Prefecture. After some time, the team arrived at the Forbidden Lands. Brother, here comes the clan. From now on, I rely only on you. Tang Yu trusted. Don't worry, I'm the founder of the clan, and there are secrets in it that even Gong Yue doesn't know about. The man reassured him. Then the team split up. Changfeng and Zhu went further, and Kai, Shi, and Hongsheng went down to the ground. Sister, today depends on whether we can save Zhanglan and freely enter the Lake of Lightning. The former bandit encouraged Tsai. Yes, so we must do everything in our power at all costs, the girl answered him. And she turned to Shi standing next to her. Thank you for your hard work, miss. And thanked her. She believed that Shai is a dissolute woman, but she will still try to tolerate cooperation with her for the sake of the leader. But no matter what happens, she will try not to let her get close to him. You're welcome. Let's go to Manhwa Pond, the young woman answered briefly. Meanwhile, our hero and Tang flew to a stone mountain range. Zhu explained that this was the right place. Looking around, Kang Feng did not notice anything special. There must be a formation installed there to hide the passage. Tang approached the rock and touched it with his palm, from which vibration waves immediately passed. The pharmacy is open. Now follow me, the man asked when a piece of rock disappeared in front of them. Huge pieces of cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and dust lay everywhere. From the outside, the pharmacy immediately began to close, shrinking to the eye of a needle, and then disappeared altogether. Tang went forward first. There were several pieces of furniture in the cave, a table, a bed, several cabinets. The man touched everything one by one, reliving many years of memories in a moment. So much time has passed, but this place has not changed at all, he remarked bitterly. Brother, this is your former cave, right? Our hero clarified. Yes, it used to be our cave, but all that is in the past. Hundreds of years have passed. Zhu answered without going into details. Although the brother does not go into detail, it is still clear that he was a loving person. You should be friends with such a person, not be at enmity, Yu thought, following him deeper into the cave. When they passed through it, the formation opened up again on the other side. Before passing through it, Tang stopped. Beyond this passage lies the very heart of the clan, but there are many forks in the hidden path. Follow the tracks carefully, remember them, And make no mistake, he warned. Our hero liked the attitude of the elder because he managed to penetrate deep into the enemy camp without going through battles. Still, there is no worse enemy than a former friend. Brother, do you know where my youngest student, Lan, may be imprisoned? If known, it will save us time. Without this knowledge, I cannot do anything. Our hero asked to be brought up to date. Without hiding anything, Tang suggested that if his guess was correct, then the girl should be locked in a dungeon. If Kong Feng and his accomplices infiltrated the Tu Jiao clan 3 days later in the evening, then in the morning of that day, Gong Yueyu convened a meeting of the remaining close associates. Today is the day of negotiations with our enemy, and the 3rd, 4th, and 5th elders have not yet returned. Second elder, what measures do you propose to take? The leader asked. All this time I took part in the negotiations, so it would be logical if I continue them, Jiang Gui suggested. He was 90% sure that his elder brother would definitely come to the negotiations at the Lotus Lake. So he planned to immediately go over to his side because he didn't want to linger more than a minute in this, as he believed, hole. But his plan was destined to fail. I do not agree with the second elder, Shan protested. Huh? What do you mean? Gui did not understand him and began to get a little worried because he hid his intentions well. Had Elder Number 1 figured out his plan? But everything was not so sad. In fact, Shang saw that there weren't many people in the clan at present. In his opinion, it would be better if he went, and the second elder and the leader remained in the clan, and Gui continued to wind himself up. He didn't think that after so many years they would be careful with him. If you're coming, that means the leader isn't coming, right? And the young leader of the clan, by the way, is his own son, he objected to the first elder. Do you want to challenge my strategic decision? Shan asked with a metallic note in his voice. You are a great elder, standing above everyone in the Tu Jiao clan except for one person. Why would I dare? Guy laughed good-naturedly. But Gong Yue did not have time for a showdown. How can we arrange internal conflicts when our enemy is on the doorstep? The leader stopped the bickering, and then, as in the most epic moment in the film, the entrance doors of the hall opened, and with a stately gate, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th elders crossed the threshold. We welcome the leader. They greeted in front of Gong Yui and bowed respectfully to him. You returned, and therefore found out information about the traitor Ju Tang. The leader hurried to find out the news. Yu Changfeng and his comrades negotiated with me at the Lotus Lake today, and Ju Tang decided to provide them with secret support. I plan to allow our clan's disciples to infiltrate their hideout. Louis told the previously planned lie. A cunning plan. Fortunately, there are faithful elders in our clan, otherwise you could fall into their trap. Gong Yue praised his subjects for their vigilance. Having considered the situation from all sides, Shan proposed to use the back of the opponents against themselves and at the crucial moment to seize everyone at once. The first elder says correctly, I have the same intentions. The leader agreed with him. I, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th elders will lead our elite disciples to the Lotus Lake, while the great elder and 2nd elder will remain to guard the clan. Gong Yue ordered. We obey your order, the 5 elders promised. Having made sure of their loyalty, the leader hurried outside, and waving his cloak, he flew into the sky. The elders and disciples followed him relentlessly. Our hero and his brother-in-law watched their takeoff from the thickets of the forest. Does it make sense to take so many people with you to negotiations? You did not understand the enemy's actions, and he is also worried that an irreparable incident may occur at the lake. Don't worry, I have like-minded people in the Tu Jiao clan, said Tan. You see, I've been hiding such a trump card all this time. Our hero was surprised. He also didn't expect that his brother-in-law didn't even consider that they might have a backup plan. Now Yu remembers that if he cooperates with Zhu, He will be more careful next time. Now that all the elite have left the clan, we can enter the dungeon. Come after me. I invited Tan to become a tour guide. The entire period of time from the moment she was kidnapped until today, Do was held hostage. Her life was not sweet, and her only consolation was the window under the ceiling itself, through which the sky and occasionally birds could be seen. But the girl believed and waited for the teacher to finally come for her. And now she sadly watched the sunset, desperate to break the iron shackles on her hands and feet. Are you still dreaming that your master will come to save you? I think he's now spending his time in the arms of beauties. The cellmate again began to pour salt into the girl's wound. Don't talk about him like that. The master is not that kind of person, Lan began to deny again with pain in her voice. You still don't believe it? This is the lesson my brother learned from his past. Seeing the girl's tears, the young man said a little softer. He didn't want to break the girl and make her hysterical, but only wanted her to stop living in dreams, accept the pain and live in the present without clinging to the past. Previously, the master of the youth was not a slacker and hung out with prostitutes, drinking alcohol. And if he had thought more about cultivation back then, their clan would not have suffered so much. Therefore, the young man believed that the master of his unfortunate neighbor was probably the same. But the doe was not so easy to calm down, and she desperately continued to defend the teacher. When the master comes, I will definitely tell him what bad things you said about him. Then the master will punish you, she shouted. Why are you crying again? Can't I talk? Why don't we make a bet? Let's see whether your master will come to save you or not, the young man suggested. What are you betting on? Lan agreed without hesitation. She was so confident in her savior that she didn't even allow the thought that she would lose. If he doesn't come to save you, you will call me brother. If he comes to save you, I will serve you tea and water every day, and also call you auntie, the young man ordered. Whether you win or lose, there is no downside to it for me. What's wrong with calling you auntie? This way I can at least get some fresh air, he thought. Humph! Soon you will call me auntie, Lan said, placing her hands on her hips. That's how they made the bet. At this time, 2 men from the dungeon guard were heading towards the wooden cage where Kang Feng's youngest student was with her neighbor. The head and the elders went to the Lotus Lake. I have to keep an eye on the girl so that she doesn't do anything, one of the men muttered displeasedly. The clan still has a great elder and a second elder. What could go wrong? Even if Yu Kangfeng musters up the courage, he will not dare to appear on the threshold of our clan. Another reasoned, but anything could go wrong. For example, now in the place where they had already passed, Jutang began to appear, removing the formation. A second later, he stood behind them, pressed his fingers on the combat point on each of their necks, and they lost consciousness, went limp, like rag dolls, and fell to the floor. When the guards were finished, Tsang Feng also followed the creator of the clan, Tu Zhao. For the first minute, Do couldn't breathe calmly from happiness. Master, you have arrived, she rejoiced, and again burst into tears from an overabundance of feelings. Only now our hero was wiping away her orphan tears. I knew that you wouldn't leave me, she said. You had to suffer for so long because of me. You're great. Yu praised her, gently stroking her head. And he immediately freed the student from the iron shackles. Well, I said that the master would come to save me, but you didn't believe it. You lose. Lan winked and reminded her of the bet. Elder, I don't play with you anymore. The young man shook his head from side to side, dumbfounded by such a sharp turn of events. Now Tsang Feng also wanted to understand the chatter of the guys. The girl told him about the dispute and the rewards. Master, let's take him with us. From now on, he will bring me tea and water every day, and also call me auntie, asked the little girl. After her words, the young man realized that he would not be able to get away. Senior, my name is Fang Jiang, Take me with you. Although I don't have any outstanding abilities, I have a good understanding of formations. I may well be of some use," the young man asked, bowing before Kang Feng. Our hero was interested in the boy, but his appearance somehow irritated him. He didn't know why. "Okay, you can come with us," Yu agreed. "Thank you, but it will be better if you grab Shanggong and force him to remove the chains from me. The chains on my arms and legs can hold back my formation," said Fan. Chang Feng thought about it. Using his forbidden eye, he can see the entire formation below the Zhuan level. So there is no doubt that the place where spiritual energy flows is the core of the formation, which is located in the stomach. Our hero chuckled pathetically. "And what's so bad about this trivial ban?" he said, raising his hand. And from one of his movements, the shackles on Fan's body opened and fell to the floor with a roar. The guy barely managed to spread his legs wider so that the chains wouldn't hit him. Even a cultivator of the late stage of the Golden Core could not break these chains, and Master Lan broke through the ban with the help of sword energy, and only at the peak of the true energy stage. Could he really be a Yuanying stage cultivator? Fan thought, not believing that he was finally free. "Ah, the Elder One is so cool! My respect for you is like the boundless flow of a river," he shouted admiringly. "Hey, stop talking. We're heading out." Zhangfen tried to calm him down, and he asked Tan where the Treasury was located on the clan's territory. "Senior, I know the way." I immediately called to become Fan's guide. Since Yu became a hero in a cloak, he wanted to make a good impression on him, following a saying he had once heard from mortals. "The one who knows how to understand the situation is wise." We are deep in the central part of the clan, and there are many dangers everywhere. If we go to the Treasury, we risk running into trouble. Ju spoke after waiting for Fan to fall silent.
"But it was here, so it would be stupid to leave empty-handed. And now that the elite has left the clan, don't you want to get your interest?" Kang Feng objected.
Tanya turned his gaze to the unconscious guard lying nearby. "What are we going to do with them?" he asked. But our hero did not plan today to take the life of anyone else besides the already planned goals. "I don't have such a deep bloody hatred for the clan, so do as you please," Yu answered, grabbing Lan by the arm and heading with her towards the exit. After such a deep thought, Tanu no longer wanted to kill the guys. When Gong Yue Yu and the elite left the heart of the clan, the Great Elder and the Second Elder were left alone. But the leader took almost all the elders with him to the Lotus Lake. "But my heart does not leave worry," Shan told about his excitement. "Given your precautions, anything can go wrong. I think you're overthinking things." Guy shook his head. "This old fox has a good sense of smell, but fortunately, he did not notice my plan. We need to find a way to get rid of him and join his older brother. All I can do is improvise," he desperately hoped. You see, it still seems to me that I have overlooked something. Maybe you're right. I must be just imagining things." Agreed with the second elder Shan, trying to find himself a casual activity in order to distract himself. At this time, Kang Feng and Tang ran at full speed from the dungeon, with Fan showing them the way ahead. Another minute of running through the narrow streets between small houses, and they were approaching the main building of the clan. "Insolent people! How dare you infiltrate us!" The guards standing at the entrance became embittered. With their swords drawn, they prepared to kill the uninvited guests. Their heart-rending scream echoed down the street, reaching Shanggong's ears.